Action Man. Since 1966, he's been a palpable presence in the bedrooms, on the bookshelves, and in the subconscious of small boys and the adults they became. In that time, real men have been to the moon. They've circumnavigated the globe on foot, they've quelled rebellions, and they've run the London Marathon dressed as a giant banana. But what has this so-called man of action actually done? Absolutely nothing. Yet. Here on Toy Stories, we've built a full-size house out of Lego, united towns with toy trains, and nations with toy gliders, contested the world's toughest race and spanned yawning chasms with Meccano, and hacked off the horticultural establishment with a massive lump of plasticine. But what do we do with this bloke? For the first time on Toy Stories, I'm dealing with a toy I don't actually like. And I'm not alone.
Action Man, not really an interest, to be honest.
I think Action Man's a wuss.
I don't think he's that good. They were considered to be dolls, weren't they?
He looks a bit rubbish, really.
His clothes are pretty tatty. Yeah, I don't know who he is.
He's not, like, amazing. He's average.
See? Things are falling off.
I don't like Action Man, I like dinosaurs instead.
He is useless. He just sits around looking knock-kneed like some vacant, militant Abercrombie & Fitch sales assistant. Of all the toys, Action Man is, ironically, the hardest to elevate to glory. He should be a trailblazer, an inspiration to other toys, going boldly with gripping hands where no toy has gone before. We need to put the action back into Action Man, with a challenge that will test his metal, or plastic, to its limits. He needs to do something no toy has done before. Something that was a landmark achievement for real man. We therefore believed we should commit ourselves to achieving the goal, before this program is out, of sending Action Man to the speed of sound and beyond, and returning him safely to the Earth. We choose to go to the speed of sound. We choose to go to the speed of sound and do the other things, not because it is easy, but because it is hard. First, we need to get to the bottom of this sound barrier business. So there now follows a bit of popular science, which is the sort of thing my director, Tom, normally hates. But I thought I might get away with it if I delivered my lecture while breaking the sound barrier myself in this, the Eurofighter Typhoon.
Step out, Tony, folks. 5,000 feet.
Is that 5,000 feet? Bloody hell, higher.
So, what is the sound barrier? Sound is just the air vibrating. That's why there's no sound in space, and no one can hear you scream. There's no air. This is our Typhoon travelling subsonically, slower than the speed of sound. The vibrating air is being pushed ahead of the plane like the bow wave on a boat. But when you approach the speed of sound, the air becomes ever more compressed. At the speed of sound, the oncoming air is no longer being warned of the aeroplane's approach. The result is a shockwave and a sonic boom. In the 1940s, the sound barrier was thought to be exactly that, a barrier. As propeller-driven aeroplanes like the Spitfire neared the speed of sound in dives, the compression of the air shredded propellers and caused controls to lock up.
A lot of people just flew straight into the deck.
But on October the 14th, 1947, American test pilot Charles Chuck Yeager finally broke the sound barrier at the controls of the Bell X-1. There was no sound barrier, and today, going supersonic is all the rage.
Just to show what a piece of cake this sound barrier is, well, if you've got a £65 million frontline fighter aircraft. We'll do it now, just outside Morecambe. In fact, we've done it. We're just approaching Mach 1.1. I didn't even notice it. That is an aeroplane ahead of its sound. Oh, and there it is slowing down. Jeez.
Subsonic.
And there we are. A mere dawdle. Thank you, Skipper.
Now, before you all start tweeting, no, I'm not going to just take Action Man up in the cockpit with me. That would be cheating. And unfortunately, the BBC refused to give us 65 million quid for an Action Man-sized Eurofighter because they'd spent it all on the Great British Bake Off. So, let's have a look at the performance of the best Action Man-sized aeroplane we could afford. And the normal use for this is to fire hailstones at components of real aeroplanes to make sure they can withstand impacts up in the sky. That's the barrel of the cannon. We've sort of converted it to something a bit like the steam catapult of an aircraft carrier. A rod is fired from the cannon, drags a sledge along the rail on the top. The Harrier is mounted on that and is flung off as it reaches the end of its travel. Our plastic Harrier, like Buzz Lightyear in that other inferior Toy Story, is officially not a flying toy. But what if it were going really fast? We start with the catapult set at 200 psi, 7 times the pressure of a typical car tyre. Right, we're ready, Sim.
Firing in 3, 2, 1.
Jeez. Not so good. As I said, not a flying toy. It is possible that we're slightly overcomplicating this. Who'd have thought it, eh? But a miniature aeroplane capable of supersonic speeds but still able to come into a slow, controlled landing somewhere near where we're standing. That's quite a tall order. We make things like bridges and very slow motorcycles out of Meccano, that sort of stuff. We need something a bit simpler. He's in. You join us at a very exciting moment. This is what we've decided to do. A free-fall Action Man jump from the stratosphere, followed by a parachute descent to Earth. Using a large weather balloon, we'll take Action Man up in a specially designed capsule covered in cameras and kit, transmitting information back to us. He'll free-fall from the balloon, go supersonic, and we'll go and recover him. If you think you've seen something a bit like that before, you're absolutely right. In 2012, Felix Baumgartner jumped from a helium balloon in the stratosphere at a height of 128,000 feet. On the way down, he reached a speed of Mach 1.25, 1.25 times the speed of sound. He remains the fastest unassisted person on, or indeed above, Earth. The balloon and the mood are buoyant.
I'm going to start the cameras in the pod. Is that all right? Everybody happy?
Yeah.
Sorry. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, here we go.
Don't release it yet. I'll say go, yeah? Our attempt is a sort of 1/6 scale version of the famous Baumgartner jumps because actually... With hindsight, that was all I really needed to say. But it's a momentous occasion. I had some rousing rhetoric prepared. We're hoping for well over 100,000. And unfortunately, during my homage to Alan Wicker, the wind picks up. Action Man is also going to free fall. And if this goes according to plan, he will parachute into an enormous welcome, a ticker tape parade through a model village somewhere, and a permanent place in the display cabinet of toy fame. Are we ready?
I've got to go.
Go! That beep was Steve saying, "Oh, b***." In the 4 hours it takes us to recover the top of the capsule, summer rolls in. We just had an absolute shower, which is bad because water on here, obviously at altitude, could freeze. Action Man's got his jumper slightly wet. He also appears to have wet himself, but I'm not surprised really. I would if I were going to do this. Finally, there's a brief break in the clouds. Balloon is go. But the weather is threatening. We just have to hope Action Man will pass through the approaching thunderstorm before it hits. Yes! As Alan Bean said, what a ride! To the chase car. Etc. Target altitude is about 105,000 feet, so that's not quite as high as Baumgartner went, but to scale, it's 6 times as high as he went. Going up very, very well, and it is still going up, which is what we want. It may not be for long, though. We've been too slow. The storm is enveloping Action Man. As we saw from our first attempt, any buffeting might dislodge the capsule. Too much turbulence, and this will all be over. There's such a wealth of information coming through on here. Temperatures, position, temperatures of our cameras. The one thing we don't have remotely is an accurate speed measurement for Action Man when he falls. We'll have to recover him for that, if we can. Meanwhile, up in the air, Action Man's armoured polystyrene and sticky tape capsule has made it through the storm and out above the cloud layer. Down on the ground, we're not so lucky. You might be wondering why we have to go so high to do this. The reason is the speed of sound is directly related to the temperature of the air. The colder it is, the lower the speed of sound. So Action Man will begin his dive, he will accelerate massively through the very thin, very cold air high up. If he was down near the ground, the thick air and the warm air would hold him back, so the speed of sound would be higher and the drag would be greater. That's why we've got to go all the way up there. At sea level, the speed of sound is 761 miles per hour. But up where Action Man's going, it's around 670 miles per hour. That's why we have Mach numbers to keep things simple. Mach 1 is the speed of sound through the air you're in, the speed where that shockwave forms. We should just pause for a moment to observe that we're having a slightly miserable time here we're still just in Cambridgeshire. It's raining quite heavily. It's a grey, overcast day. The sky, as Ivor Cutler would have said, is like mercury. But Action Man, let's have a look at him. He's in bright, glorious sunshine. In fact, he's very nearly at his target height of 105,000 feet. That's almost 4 times the height of Mount Everest. We pull over into a service station and wait for the drop. After a brief, blissful moment of stillness, he's gone.
That's getting well fast. That sounds like it's spinning.
After 17,500 feet of freefall, the capsule chute opens and Action Man battles through the storm once again to reach the ground.
It's as fast as I've ever heard, as it went up and up and up and up in frequency.
We find Action Man's capsule in a field dangerously close to an American military base. If they'd caught him, they'd have dressed him in his orange boiler suit for a very long time.
Whee! Everything worked then.
Yes! Yes! Well done.
I'm a happy man.
The weather balloon has also burst and landed. So we hurriedly collect the top section of the capsule, away from some angry Red Bulls, and hurry to the nearest pub so that Steve can download the data and find Action Man's top speed. Stand up straight, man. It's ridiculous. Right. Steve, we are looking for a target of 672 miles per hour.
Right.
That is Mach 1.
Right. How fast did we get? 249.5 miles an hour.
249 and a half?
Yes.
Rubbish. Generally on Toy Stories, we have a knack for plucking success from the jaws of extreme unlikelihood, if we just give it a go. But that's less than half our target speed. I'll have to think of something else. But maybe that was a lucky escape. We didn't know how he would cope with supersonic speed in free fall. Action Man collectors, look away. This is a compressed air cannon, capable of generating a rush of Mach 1 plus air.
That's it, he's on.
We've placed our plastic Pioneer in front of it, in a sort of free-fall skydive position. OK, we're ready. Run away. Now, obviously, this isn't totally accurate because, as we said, the air is thinner up high. But this is a pretty big bit of kit to haul up into the sky. Look at the size of it. This is only about 10% of it as well, isn't it?
It goes back from
This is the only working supersonic air cannon in the UK, and we've been granted access. Action Man must be feeling pretty lucky right now. You ready?
Okay.
Yes?
Yes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's horrendous. What, his head came off? Isn't that a little bit unrealistic, though? Because we hit him sort of with a hammer of Mach 1 air, whereas in reality he'd accelerate.
That's
Which
right.
is
Well, we've got the facility to do with that.
I remember we talked about him diving, rather than being like a skydiver, more of a Superman sort of.
Yeah.
More, because that would be a bit more aerodynamic. Can you modify that to make him...
I've got another very similar, so yes.
Hopefully, with the airspeed increasing gradually in a more realistic manner, our next Action Man might stand more of a chance. So how fast was that last one, Sydney?
1.13.
1.13, so if we could go to just over Mach 1, 1.05?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, and with the gradual build-up, so this is more like Action Man accelerating down through the upper atmosphere. Here we go.
It's coming.
Told you.
Oh, he's not going to go! Oh, keep going! God, he's not going to go!
Oh, he was a few seconds from surviving. Right, let's go and look for the remains. It was pretty clear that an exposed and unprotected Action Man would not be able to go supersonic. At least not while retaining the realistic hair, eagle eyes and everything else by which you identify him as Action Man, and not part of a vacuum cleaner. Time for a rethink. Forget Baumgartner. Remember Chuck Yeager? His Bell X-1 was a rocket-powered aeroplane. Now the plane's a non-starter, but rocket-powered. Is the answer just a rocket? It's like a bullet, so it's a simple shape. You're going to get a shock wave at the nose and maybe some little shock waves at the fins, but you're not going to have all that complicated fuselage shape, wing shape, canopy shape, and all the rest of it. It's much simpler.
Rocket sounds feasible.
That's settled then. We'll build a rocket and have Action Man bail out on his parachute. Excited, we head to the quarry for what, contrary to the popular expression, is rocket science. The first and most important thing to know about a rocket is it is a so-called reaction engine. The rocket goes up because the exhaust, which is fuel, which has mass, is being forced downwards. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Sir Isaac Newton told us that. Two other things to consider in rocket design: the centre of mass and the centre of pressure. This is actually quite simple. The centre of mass is the point about which the fully loaded rocket would balance on your finger. The centre of pressure is the point around which all the forces generated by the rush of passing air will act. And it's actually easier to demonstrate this with the humble pub dart. The fins have a very large surface area. The point has virtually none, so the centre of pressure is towards the back of the dart. But the centre of mass is towards the front because of the weight, so the dart is stable and flies true. So there you go, you see, it flies point first, even if you throw like a bit of a muppet. The design is so effective, even throwing the dart fins first, it still rights itself even at this tiny distance. A rocket is essentially a giant dart with Jockey Wilson's arm built into it.
Oh,
Beautiful.
that's quite good.
Lovely.
That's great.
Right, so it needs to be a bit bigger, it needs to go a bit higher and quite a lot faster and carry Action Man and his capsule and his parachute.
Yeah.
Piece of cake. The theory appears to be sound, but Action Man won't fit in one of these toy rockets. So we hastily improvise a prototype. This is a sort of initial proof of concept idea that Simi and I have come up with. It's a commercially available rocket, it's a big firework, but we've modified it slightly so that Action Man sits in the top. Now at the top of the trajectory, at apogee, a small charge will go off in here and eject him. His parachute here is ready deployed and attached. The rocket will disappear, Action Man will float down, we'll know that the whole basic idea works. It's not going to go supersonic, this, but it is going to show us the basic principles. It's pointing into wind. I think we're ready. You ready?
I'm ready.
Good. Here we go.
Well, hey.
Oh! Jeez, that small explosive charge might have been a bit big. Actually, it was 10 times too big. Usual decimal point problem. It nearly hit me on the head.
It did.
But that was our fastest flight yet. We just need to refine things a bit. Rockets are very volatile, and we're not very experienced. God, its head's red hot. Unfortunately, that's not the worst of our problems. As we're packing up, Tom, the director, takes a very surreal phone call.
Oh, it's just her. OK.
You see, when we decided on a rocket, we started asking around about how to do it. But the walls have ears, or at least rocket boffins do, especially if you ring them up. There's a group of rocket enthusiasts who've heard about our idea, and they're going to attempt a rival launch of a supersonic rocket, but carrying Cindy. It's being made in half a tent by a man with Cindy's hair, but looks are deceptive. These blokes know what they're doing.
Hi, my name is Russ Strand. I'm a systems engineer in a large engineering firm. So we've got the motor at the back end, main parachute section here, the drogue parachute section, and this is the Cindy capsule. I think overall we've got the right design, I think we've got the right expertise in the team. These will control the various deployment events, so the separation of the drogue parachute, the apogee, the top of the flight, and a proven track record. So I think overall we've got the better chance of success. This is what's known as a von Karman ogive.
I suppose it was inevitable. For every great pioneering breakthrough, there is always a battle to be the first. The space race had America and Russia. We have the UK's knockoff of America's G.I. Joe versus the UK's knockoff of Barbie. Simi and I are going to have to step on it if we want Action Man to be the first toy to break the sound barrier. There's no time to be mucking around with fireworks. We have to get serious. Phase 1, the rocket fuel. You join us at a very exciting time, viewers, rocket testing. This is a commercially available, off-the-peg, solid rocket fuel motor. It's a sort of Marks & Spencer's underpants of rocket motors, and we're going to test it on this rig, which looks like a lot of old rusty angle iron, but it is in fact a, what do you call it?
Oh, so we're going to mount a load cell on it.
A load cell. The load cell is a sort of pressure gauge which measures how much thrust our rocket fuel delivers and how long it burns for. Then we can work out if that's enough to take Action Man beyond the speed of sound. So the rocket goes in there. There's the exhaust. Exhaust goes that way. Newton's third law. Reaction goes that way. Presses on there. Strain gauge, relaying information to the computer, will give us the thrust, the duration, the exhaust velocity, and we will see that as a graph, Mike. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
We love a graph. Right, here we go. Aerial view from the camera, so we know no one's there. Charlie's data logger, which will give us all the information. My firing button. Firing in 3. Hold the right button there. 2, 1. Was that it?
That's it.
It was about 2 seconds. The off-the-shelf fuel peaked at 13 kilograms of thrust. It's about as aggressive as the Lighthouse family. Still, we're rocketry students, so let's try some homebrew. OK, so mixing the rocket fuel begins with, I believe...
ammonium perchlorate.
Which is the...
That's the oxidizer.
The oxidizer is because the rocket can't breathe air, like a jet engine.
Right, so it can't use atmospheric oxygen. So this is effectively a very concentrated form of oxygen.
It has its own oxygen inside it. Now, obviously, we can't tell you exactly what we're using or how much, or this would turn into terrorist MasterChef. But it does involve aluminium powder, which is highly volatile, and hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene, which is highly unpronounceable. Anyway, by the end of it, we had a batch that would make Walter White turn green.
Pretty good, I reckon.
But would it beat the off-the-shelf fuel?
Now.
3, 2, 1, fire!
Jesus!
Is it blown the whole rig over?
It's taken the rig out!
I think this was successful.
You're quite pleased with that, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, yeah. That rig weighs 180 kilos. Well, that's why rocket motors are good. I mean, look at that. That's only a small tube of stuff, and it's moved that. Look at it. Unfortunately, it's also destroyed all our instruments. So, while Charlie and the team try to get some results from our bench test, beyond it's destroyed the bench, I turn my attention to another problem. The sheer force of our rocket fuel is giving me horrible flashbacks to our firework experiment. Action Man needs to be able to bail out safely. Now, for our balloon attempt, we used a specially made parachute, which, let's be honest, was cheating a bit. For our rocket attempt, we want it to be all Action Man, and that means using the real parachute that came with the toy. We take Action Man over to an army base. Their crack skydiving team recognised the national importance of testing an orange handkerchief attached to a slightly camped doll. Action Man's parachute is, of course, notoriously unreliable. From your upstairs bedroom window, he might suffer something like a dislocated knee or a missing head. This is from 13,000 feet, with about 11,000 feet of free fall and a 2,000-foot under canopy descent. Assuming mine and Simi's plan works, Action Man should be bailing out of his rocket at a similar altitude to this, somewhere between 13 and 16,000 feet. So the stresses on his parachute are of a magnitude not previously experienced by Action Man. First off, Action Man must survive the freefall as if he'd just bailed out of the rocket. Then, when the skydivers release their own parachutes, we'll see if Action Man's really works. As with all momentous events in human history, Agincourt, the Somme Offensive, a new series presented by Richard Hammond, there is a preceding lull accompanied by birdsong. Isn't that nice?
Action Man away.
Action Man away. This is a little bit like that moment in the Apollo 13 re-entry when they had the communications blackout. And everyone is just waiting to see if it comes out of the other side. Meanwhile, on the other side... There they are. See it? See, I've got eagle eyes. I just haven't got realistic hair or gripping hands. Action Man has survived the freefall, and the team's parachutes have deployed. Will his? That looks like a pretty successful parachute. Tell me the worst.
It was great. It was amazing.
Did his parachute open?
His parachute opened. His parachute opened. It seemed to work, and he drifted that way.
That's quite remarkable, because he used to just fall straight to earth and hit it with an appalling plasticky splat. Well, this is quite good. If he survives that, that means he's good for a bailout from a supersonic rocket. Thank you.
My pleasure.
What we've done here rather cleverly is paired the classic Action Man toy with a piece of modern technology. There's a GPS transmitter in his backpack. And what I do is I ring, his tracker's got a SIM card in, I telephone the tracker, and it should ring twice and then cut out. Of course, he may not be in range of a signal. Welcome to the messaging. How can it be a messaging service? What, am I supposed to leave him a voicemail? Oi, Action Man, where are you? Tom? Little Tom? He's on answer machine. How can he have an answering machine?
He's on the phone to someone else.
No, don't be... He's on the phone to Barbie, isn't he?
Yeah.
Hi, Action Man, it's James. If you're in the field somewhere, could you give us a bell and tell us where you are? Useless plastic. But yeah, we should try and work out which direction to go in.
Who owns that GPS system?
Who?
Have you got like a technical person there?
Yeah, that's us.
All we can do is make an educated guess based on the wind direction and set off in the van.
Keep the pedal
It's like looking for one small orange needle in a 200-hectare haystack. There he is. It turns out that the skydivers frequently use bits of orange material in their training exercises. Do you drop a lot of orange square?
These are what the students learn when they practice their free falls.
This is now like trying to find a small orange needle in a haystack full of small orange needles.
Why can't we do anything properly? So do you know roughly where they were when they dropped over the barns? Okay.
After a mere hour and a half of aimless driving, though...
Ah, what's that on the right?
Yeah, that's a good spot. We might be onto something here, and that is him. And he looks good. Danger, response, airways, breathing. I think he's okay. It works. That's tremendous news, isn't it? After decades to work that out, the parachute works. Right, we can get him down. All we need to do is get him up at Mach 1+. Brilliant. Well done, lad.
Maybe I'm just feeling a sense of relief because he's finally survived one of our experiments, but I'm beginning to warm to Action Man. Granted, you need your own skydiving team to reveal his true play value, but even so. Despite his gormless, expressionless face, he is on the verge of the greatness we have long craved for him. And that's made me realise that we should give some consideration to choosing the Action Man that will become our pioneering rocket pilot. Filled with new enthusiasm for our challenge, I've gone down to the enormous Birmingham NEC Classic Toy Collectors Fair to hand-pick a team of potential pilots and separate the action men from the boys. In the middle of the hall, I set up SAM, the Supersonic Action Man Initiative. I've put word out that we're looking for the best of the best. Unfortunately, what I've forgotten is that whilst I might be coming round to Action Man, nobody else really gives us stuff.
This actually isn't as good as I thought. We've been here now for 3.5 hours. I thought we'd be mobbed, to be honest. This is a toy fair. Everybody here is interested in toys and old toys and toy history, but nobody's interested in Action Man. Nobody's got an Action Man anymore. No interest in Action Man?
No, not at all. They were dolls, weren't they?
So you've got pretty much every action figure except Action Man.
Oh, you don't do Action Man?
Why not Action Man, though? Is he just too dull?
I never really got into Action Man. It's more into Star Wars.
Have you ever seen an Action Man?
I have.
Did you like him?
Not really, no.
This is a desperate announcement. If anybody is even remotely interested in Action Man, please visit the Supersonic Action Man Initiative store on the left towards the door at the back near the cafe. Or it might be on the right, depending on which way you're coming.
Finally, we get some hopeful recruits.
James, I can remember that. And your Action Man's name?
Steve, I suppose he was called.
Steve,
yeah.
Need to just obviously do a quick check for physical fitness. Yeah, all his limbs bend the wrong way, so that's good.
Here is John Mark II.
And what happened to John Mark I?
He was my best friend as a child, and I built him a parachute and threw him out of my bedroom window.
He used to face death on a daily basis. He was blown up quite a few times in the back garden. He was shot with an air pistol. He was thrown out of trees.
We did actually do him up a top secret folder.
Intergalactic Peace Envoy.
Yes.
Very modern. Sorry, say that
I've
again.
got over 300 Action Men, but I made him into a warden because he was in the cabinet looking after the other Action Men.
Right.
At heart, I am quite a child, if you like. I do enjoy.
Are you a nutter?
No.
Nutters or no, we have some hopeful recruits, and as we have only one of our own action men left, we decide to put them both down as potential pilots. And in more good news, right at the back of a dusty corner of the toy fair, we find Action Man. But it's what's on the accessories table that interests me more.
Hey, look at this. Is that a spacesuit?
Yep, that's the original 60s Action Man spacesuit.
That's tremendous.
Thank you.
Deal. Thank you very much. I've bought my first Action Man accessory.
This season, Action Man will be wearing a range of... Hang on. Team Cindy have nearly finished their rocket. Back at Action Man HQ, we finalise our design.
You join us at a very exciting time. Here we are at the headquarters of our secret rocket building institution. This is Ambrose. He's an engineer and stuff like that. And he's going to design the rocket shape.
We need to make it as aerodynamic and as light as possible, but there's an awful lot to fit in.
We've also got to get in parachute, the cameras to film what happens to him, the telemetry. If we were just firing the rocket as an experiment, it would be relatively easy. The fact that we've got to film it so that you can watch this now on Christmas Eve or 2 weeks after Boxing Day, whenever they put our Christmas special on, we have to be able to incorporate the little cameras.
We've gone for a design similar to the real Ariane series of space rockets. Thin, but with a top bulge containing Action Man and all the kit. Back at Team Cindy...
And you can see here that we're predicting quite nicely supersonic. So we're building a single-stage rocket which will launch on a very large motor, hopefully going supersonic in the process.
A single-stage rocket is one that contains one enormous but solo body of fuel. Simi and I have gone for something a little more complex. A two-stage design more in keeping with multi-stage rockets that went to the moon. At launch, we'll have our main booster and 2 additional side boosters that will drop off for Phase 2, shedding weight and leaving our main booster going like a homesick angel.
I've heard that James and Sim might be doing a 2-stage rocket, which to me sounds like madness because the level of complexity for a supersonic rocket is high enough already. A 2-stage rocket has obviously got to separate at some point, which is just a level of complexity that boggles the mind, really.
But like a tricky 9-letter word, we refuse to be boggled.
What I'm going to make here with Engineer Mike is the nozzle for our rocket motor.
As Team Cindy gets ever closer, we work ceaselessly, day and night, until our lathes smoke.
Pointy. That is a convergent, divergent nozzle.
But just as we're putting the final touches to our masterpiece, we get the call we've been dreading. Team Cindy is launching.
So basically the rocket will launch up to apogee, fire the pyros located here, which will separate the Cindy capsule and put out a drogue parachute.
The whole of Team Cindy has come to this field in Scotland, from expert rocketry engineers to this man with a hammer. And like accessorised action figures, they're all dressed in their most intimidating hats. But these are some confident space cowboys.
Can we have everybody back a bit, please?
Cindy's going to go faster and higher. I think Cindy makes a better astronaut. The ladies are lighter and they should have been into space first. They take less fuel.
And it seems I'm not the only one getting attached to our pioneers. Team Cindy apparently started out with 2 Cindy dolls.
That's it, keep going. Gently.
Mock-up Cindy was for the testing, and Flight Cindy was supposed to be for the launch. But, well...
I don't know, it's just a doll after all. But Flight Cindy, I didn't like her, I didn't take to her at all. That's just because I've been used to working with mock-up Cindy. So I put Flight Cindy in the cradle and said, no, you're not flying. I put mock-up Cindy back in. And I think she's far the better candidate. And also, we were doing ground tests, and mock-up Cindy's been in those tests, so she's had 2 short flights already. So she's done all the pioneering work, so why shouldn't she get to fly?
Right you are, John. Anyway, Back in reality, Simi and I rushed to Scotland from Action Man HQ. We're exhausted and, frankly, a bundle of nerves. But I try to remain as grim-faced as Action Man himself.
That is a fine-looking rocket. And I'd be lying if I didn't admit that a small part of me hopes that Cindy doesn't go supersonic, because I want Action Man to be the first 1/6 scale toy person to go faster than sound. But that would be churlish, unsporting and un-British, and possibly sexist. So may the best plastic man or woman win. Well, look, best of luck, and I really mean that, because the important thing is that the rockets work.
Well, best of luck to you too.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Tremendous. Right, shall we light this candle?
Let's do it.
Right.
All we can do is retreat to a safe distance and let destiny decide.
Okay. We're launching in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That was quite amazing.
There was a sonic boom.
Is that a boom?
That was a sonic boom.
We've lost.
Right, so that's what it was, isn't it?
We already heard the sonic boom from the ground, but a report later confirms it. Cindy reached 778 miles per hour, or Mach 1.02.
Oh, look, there's
Yes.
The first toy to go supersonic is a doll with a preposterously shaped head.
That is a long walk, I think.
Yes! Hang on, wait. Cindy's the far one.
Yeah. Is it?
She's going a long way away.
But you don't have a track on Cindy. And she's a lot, well, she is bright yellow, so.
Those are the bits of the rocket. Where's Simmy? Simmy? Sim?
Oh, look.
Yeah, but they haven't got Cindy.
Ah,
And the mission statement was quite clearly, return safely to the Earth.
We will find her. She must be down there somewhere.
Team Cindy are flustered. Russ does a quick calculation. Scotland is quite big.
I don't want to be a naysayer, but if you don't find your cosmonaut, you can't regard your mission as a complete success.
We will find her.
But after 3 days of looking, they hadn't found her. Team Action Man was go. There have been many hours of work at the lathe and the mill. Soldering deep into the night, tongue clamped between teeth, computer simulation, stress testing of materials, 3D printing of components, mixing of fuels, making of stickers, and so on and so on. But here are the parts of our rocket. Firstly, we have the boosters that assist it during takeoff, and these are the fins. And then we have the main stage of our rocket with our 3 grains of specially prepared rocket fuel. And then we have the telemetry module. This will tell us what is happening, how fast it's going, where it's going, and so on. This electronic module, which triggers all the parachutes necessary for a safe descent. This is the Perspex tube, where Action Man and the electronic modules will sit. On the top of that is the nose cone, and finally, here is Action Man's ejection seat, complete with cutouts for the small cameras that will record this world-changing event. This is it then. One final effort to show that Action Man can be more than just a doll. Great sacrifices have been made to get us to this point. We've lost more brave men in this endeavour than in the entire Apollo missions combined. And I have a confession. Like John in Scotland, we've grown too attached to our one surviving test pilot. Steve and John Mark II are fine examples, keeping the flame of heroism alive. But our mock-up Action Man has truly done all the pioneering work. Why shouldn't he get to fly? Here it is, the SAM Initiative rocket Mark I and only. Because here's the thing that's worrying us. This isn't TV Jeopardy. This has not been tested. How could we test it? You can't let a supersonic rocket off in your back garden. That would be ridiculous. And that is exactly why we're here. If this thing falls over during the launch, it will travel horizontally at the speed of a bullet for something like 2 miles. You wouldn't even see it coming before it drilled a comedy, rocket-shaped hole right in the middle of your ribcage. Let's take cover, everybody. Simi heads to an adjacent hill to act as spotter, so we don't get a repeat of the Cindy incident. I go to the van and pray. I'm nervous.
Okay, well, let's do it.
Right.
Countdown.
Is everybody ready?
Okay. Counting down to firing.
Charged.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Look at it go! Ho, ho, ho! Can anybody hear anything? Any bangs?
Again. We've got apogee. We've got an apogee report.
Right.
Which is inbound.
Something's not right. Come on.
Flipping heck, that went. I said,
Rocket.
you've got altitude, Chris.
Yeah, it's on its way down. It's 2,000 metres.
But something has gone wrong. Very wrong. Action Man's parachute has not deployed, and he's got tangled up with the rocket as he falls.
Right, it should come through that bit of cloud pretty soon.
As we wait anxiously, I appear to be making an Action Man pose myself in solidarity.
We're a second shoot flying here, Chris.
Not yet.
If Action Man's arms come off, if his head detaches, if he lands damaged in any way, or if we can't find him, then the mission is a failure, and dolls are rubbish forever.
Did you see 2 shoots or 1?
We haven't seen any shoots yet.
Have you got any visuals on the rocket or parachute? Over.
Not yet, no.
Yep. There.
Yes.
Yes. Visual.
Shoot's not
that open.
Only the rocket's drogue chute has deployed. He's coming in too fast.
It wasn't clear if you separated or not, was it? I couldn't really see.
You go and find it. It doesn't look that far.
Yeah, let's go.
He's got to survive, that's the thing. If he doesn't survive, he just joins Cindy on the Roll of Honour.
It was over there, wasn't it?
Roughly that way, I'd say. Can you see where we are and where we should be?
I can see where you are. I'm afraid I don't know where the rocket is. I can see it come down.
Which way do you think it is?
That way, I think, is the strongest.
Yep, yep.
As we approach the crash site, I prepare myself for the worst.
He's out. And he's safe.
That's unbelievable.
This little action man has just survived 35 G, 7 times what real astronauts sustain. That's a salute. If somebody gave you that for Christmas, you'd say that was a fully functioning action man, agreed?
Yeah.
He's a survivor. Right, let's go and find out how fast he went. Ha ha! Take Action Man to the speed of sound and beyond and return him safely to the Earth. That was the mission statement. Here he is. He's safe. Now we will look at the telemetry data and the speed. Stand by. You know, a few years ago we did the Barnstable to Bideford Great Train Race and it didn't work. So we had to go back the following year and do it again. I don't know what you're all doing next year. But you won't be coming here because that's Mach 1.1. It's a resounding success. An achievement even greater than not using Elton John's Rocket Man for the entire show. Mach 1.1, 821 miles per hour, 43 faster than Cindy. After decades of being forgotten, dismissed and derided, Action Man has shown that he truly is made of the right stuff. 96% plastic, 4% elastic, and some chromed metal rivets. And so, the glibly named Action Man, after almost 50 years, finally is a man of action. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. In 2009, in the non-award-winning series Toy Stories, we built this, the world's biggest airfix model, the legendary Supermarine Spitfire as a full-size construction kit, scale 1:1. And we're very proud of it. We really are. It does, though, have a serious shortcoming, the one shared by all airfix models, really, which is that it only actually works in the imagination, held out at arm's length or maybe dangling from a piece of fishing line from your bedroom ceiling. It doesn't really fly. This, however, does, and it's given us an idea. I was an amateur aeronautical engineer from a very early age. Back in those heady days of loud shirts and long hair, you could pop down to the newsagents and, for about 9D, come away with a small self-assembly glider kit. With just a few bits of balsa wood, and if you were posh, a rubber band, you could hold in your 10-year-old hands the key to the mystery of flight. It's a toy I've always remembered fondly and wanted to revisit, but we could never find a challenge big enough for it. Until now. So, if you're watching from America, these are the White Cliffs of Dover, very evocatively named because they're white and they're in Dover. 22 miles approximately over there is the nearest point of France. And over there, various jumped-up little Hitlers like Napoleon and indeed Hitler have stood and looked this way and thought, we'll have that, whilst people have stood here, looked into the mist, which is often present, and said, ooh, the continent is cut off. Before flight, these islands were fairly safe from foreign tourists. The cruel sea saw to that. Shakespeare called England a precious stone set in the silver sea, which serves it as a moat, and other things a man in tights might say. But forsooth, the baldy bard couldn't have imagined that 300 years later, all that would change. In 1909, Louis Blériot struck a blow for comedy mustachioed Frenchmen the world over by becoming the first man to cross the Channel in an aeroplane. Blériot flew over and landed just over there somewhere, actually, near the castle. Once that happened, people must have realised the world is going to change. Pretty soon, no decade was complete without a new cross-channel aviation record of some sort. There have been many more. First airship, first helium balloon cluster, first helicopter, first autogyro, first passenger, first woman, first letter, first cat. In fact, you'd be forgiven for thinking that in the 100 years since Blériot made his flight, there would be no more cross-channel aviation records to be set. But there is. We've found one. First free-flight model glider to cross from England to France. So that's what we're going to do. If we succeed, the 22-mile flight will set a new British straight distance record for a toy glider.
That's the best thing I've ever seen. That's just fabulous.
A toy glider that we are going to conceive and build ourselves.
Here we go.
But our goal is loftier and altogether more symbolic than a simple cross-channel record attempt. Our flight will achieve closure for those thousands of people who, as children like me, slaved for hours over balsa, glue and paper, only to see the dream of flight dashed against the beaten earth of reality. But in the world of instant gratification, etc., where is the incentive to build your own glider?
These days, flying toys are very easy to come by and actually relatively inexpensive. This helicopter, for example, costs about 40 quid, and it's absolutely brilliant. And this Piper Cub over here is made from expanded polystyrene. It comes ready-made, powered by a small electric motor. You simply charge it up for a few hours and away you go. What could be better than that? What you have to remember, though, is that when I was a boy, radio control was inconceivably expensive, and it was also very bulky, and it wasn't really very reliable. And the little model aero engines that people had, they cost a year's pocket money. So the only way to have a flying toy was to make something yourself, like a glider, or maybe something powered by a rubber band. And you spent hours and hours and hours on your model, and you loved it. And then you just set it free. I mean, you knew it would probably end in disaster, that you'd never see it intact again, or maybe not even at all, but still, you released it from captivity, and briefly, just very briefly, it was beautiful. You'd invested your wood and your tissue paper with the soul of a bird, and as it soared away, it carried with it, or so it seemed, the dream of flight that humankind has harboured ever since we first looked upwards and saw the birds. It was all worth it.
That's enough noble sentiment. If I'm to build a successful cross-channel glider, I'm going to have to apply brains over optimism. There are a few basics to consider, so here's a repeat of a simple flight test experiment I last made in the 70s. I've made 4 small model gliders, but on each one I've positioned the wings differently.
So here's the one with the swept-back wings, the jet fighter design. Let's try that. Basic problem with that is that you need a huge amount of airspeed for it to fly. Jet fighters go very fast, they have swept-back wings. Here's the same design again, but with the wings straight out, mounted at the bottom of the fuselage. That had promise, but it disintegrated because it isn't actually a very strong shape, nor is it very stable. Here we've got the wings on the top of the fuselage. They're still the same shape, dead straight and flat, right at the top. That's better, isn't it? That's not bad. Finally, we have the wings mounted on the top of the fuselage again, but this time with dihedral. That is, the end of the wings are higher than the root of the wings. I've also added a slight aerofoil shape. So let's try this. Wait for the wind a second. Here we go.
If we were a proper programme like Panorama, that would have worked perfectly.
Oh, no. What did you have to stand there for, Dan?
Take 2.
Look at that. Wind's induced a bit of a stall there, but that's flight.
So, a glider looks the way it does for good reason: stability. We need high, slender wings, dihedral, and a decent fin at the back. But even with all this in mind, I still want to base our glider around a real model, the sort that I might have made back in the day.
Hello. Hello. Yes, I was... These are the sort of things I remember from when I was a lad. The Slingsby Skylark. That's the sort of shape I'm after, because it needs to have a nice fat fuselage for us to put all our kit in.
Yeah.
And it needs to look like the basic balsa wood glider that you spent 5 years building if you grew up in the 70s. Ooh. Hang on. Slingsby Swallow. That's a really classic toy glider shape. I like this. It's the right shape. Have you got it 4 or 5 times as big?
Unfortunately not, no. But probably find some plans.
Where would I get a plan from then for it?
You could always try the internet.
The internet? Do you know, I'd forgotten about that.
This is perfect. The real Slingsby Swallow was an RAF training glider in the 1950s, so it has the right sort of stable, high-wing dihedral design and space inside for our kit. After numerous unbroadcastable attempts at searching Google for the word swallow, we finally hit upon a company who could supply us with the supersized plans we need.
And there it is, ready.
At first glance, this retro design doesn't seem very aerodynamic.
Quite an old-fashioned wing shape. It looks quite draggy. It's an aeronautical term. This, I suspect, we may have to think about that a bit.
It might be a 50-year-old design at heart, but producing the hundreds of balsa wood parts is a gloriously 21st century process.
Absolutely fantastic. Now watch this. That looks as if it's just been printed, but in fact the laser has cut the wood. There is a dimensionally perfect wing rib. That represents probably an hour's work back in 1975 or whenever I was doing this. All right.
To make sure my rather nostalgic choice won't lead to disaster over the channel, we need to see how well the Swallow flies. So we get a friendly enthusiast to put it all together so we can test it out over dry land. Dry-ish.
So here we are on a hill in Oxfordshire, and this is where we find out if this design has what it takes to be a record-breaking toy aeroplane. There are lots of considerations in aeroplane design. They can be designed for speed or maneuverability or endurance or load carrying capacity. I've chosen this design because it looks like one I made when I was 12. So let's see if it has the endurance, if it has the soul of aviation in it to fly through this valley. If there's only one way to do this, we've put all the work in. Now you just have to throw it off a hill and see what happens. Try not to muck it up, number 2.
Ready? 3.
Oh! It's scaring the birds. It's down there. Whoa. Well, it's not broken.
That's a very good result by the standards of my childhood. The aeroplane is still in one piece. It's usable again. That makes it a very good landing in aviation terms, but it hasn't actually gone very far.
So we re-trim the Swallow, removing some weight from the nose and give it another go.
Here we go. Woo! Look at that.
That's better.
Woo!
Look at that!
Oh, quarter gust, quarter gust. No!
No, it's done
No,
it.
we're
No,
back,
it's
we're
turned
back.
back.
There you
It's
go.
good.
Go on. Go on, go on.
It's not the greatest of... Oh! It's still flying.
Go on, go on. That's down.
That's landed. That's more like it. Look at that.
We've moved 2 whole fields.
That is that's already better, look. That's gone at least 3 times as far as it did on the first flight, just with a bit of tweaking of weight and balance. That is the best model aeroplane I've ever been involved with. That has gone. Well, every other one I built only ever got about as far as that little bush over there. And look at that. It's almost out of sight. Look at it.
We thought this was amazing. It was only when we sent our bedrenched lackeys down to measure the distance that we came in for a sobering shock. On that rather good throw, our glider reached a distance of 326 yards. To merely scrape onto the beach at Calais, our glider must cover 22 miles, or 38,720 yards. That's 120 times as far. Chucking it off the White Cliffs just won't cut it. Even throwing it off this hill nearly crashed it. To stand any hope at all, we'll have to throw it from as high up as we possibly can, and that means using a hot air balloon. And even then, the glider will be at the mercy of that most British of opponents.
What we can't really do anything about is the weather, the elements. They are the things that nearly did for Alcock and Brown flying across the Atlantic, nearly did for the Wright brothers at Kitty Hawk and so on. They could completely scupper it. That is a very, very big model, but it's a tiny, tiny aeroplane, and France is ever such a long way away.
Louis Blériot himself was almost brought down by the treacherous weather over the Channel, and he had an engine. And our Swallow will be doomed anyway if, as I suspect, its basic design simply isn't fit for aerodynamic purpose.
Well, this is the R.J. Mitchell Wind Tunnel at the University of Southampton Faculty of Engineering and the Environment. Here is our glider, or sort of just over half of it, and we're going to test, I think, for the lift-drag ratio at various speeds and angles of attack.
Exactly. We can go as soon as you're ready.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
We are go for wind tunnel, so start fan.
Perfect.
What we're actually trying to discover here is the Swallow's glide ratio. That is, how much it loses in height compared with how far it flies in distance. For example, I've estimated that to make it across the sea, our glider needs a minimum glide ratio of 20:1. So, for every foot it loses in height, it must travel 20 feet forwards.
It's high drama in the wind tunnel, as you can see, a one-winged aeroplane making excellent, steady progress through the sky. So, give me the news, Doctor. Is it good or bad?
It's not good and it's not bad. The lift-to-drag ratio is probably the order of about 14. It's not what you want for your long-distance one.
14?
Yeah.
It's rubbish, isn't it?
It's not good.
I'm staggered that it's that bad. We're going to need a better wing.
It's a bit annoying to discover that we'll need to design a whole new aerofoil. And this problem, added to issues like the fuselage size, the balloon launch logistics and the weather, is beginning to cloud the simple childhood dream of flight that inspired the whole endeavour. But then I hear news of a discovery in a small Devonshire town that puts everything into perspective. Time to set my hat at a jaunty RAF angle and investigate.
So tell me a bit about the building first. It used to be a school, is that right?
Indeed, it was a town grammar school from about 1550 until 1910.
And then it stopped being a school?
It did, replaced by a new build in the town.
Right, and what was it you found? Can you show me what...
Well, myself and the builders found a large number of paper darts.
What's that bit made from?
That's a pen nib.
God, so it is. That's amazing. How many of these did you find?
I think we've got about 20 now.
So these, well, at the very latest, these can be from 1910, presumably.
The very latest, yes. Well, the very end of the school period, I'm sure.
But they could go back to the 19th century.
Could well be.
It really is amazing to think that even before the Wright brothers' flight in 1903, children at this school were making these darts and dreaming of flight.
Well, it's a good job I had my hard hat on. Hang on a minute. Oh, Peter, look at this. Oh, my God. Look. Okay, that's incredibly exciting. Look at that.
Well, that's a leap ahead.
That... God, I hope there's a date on that somewhere. That's the classic Concorde paper dart aeroplane. Wow. That's amazing. Some urchin made that, well, at least 100 years ago, maybe 150 years ago or more. And we used to make exactly the same one. Fold it in again, fold it in half, put the wings down. Think it would be okay to try it? Oh, my word, look at that. Did you get that? That's amazing, isn't it? Come on, that is amazing. That's been sitting in there for all that time and it still works and proves that the pioneering flight testers were more advanced than we thought.
To discover that Concorde was actually the work of an unknown 19th century child is an uplifting and emotional moment. And a quick experiment reveals that the same basic design is still in production by school children today. Children say their first word, take their first step, and then make their first aeroplane.
Here's history straight down the barrel. Not quite. Oh, shit, it went through the gap. I've literally thrown the history of aviation down through a hole in the floor.
I decide to leave before I'm beaten to death by irate historians, yet determined that our Swallow will do those unsung pioneers of flight proud.
These people are aerospace engineering students from Brunel University. We also have some expert aeromodelers on their way to help us, and Minister for Aircraft Production is Simi, as you would expect. So now, let's glue balsa.
While I've been out losing priceless historical artifacts, Sim and the engineering students have been hard at work designing a new wing for the glider, which should improve its pathetic 14:1 glide ratio. They've dispensed with the old bulky shape and instead have come up with a leaner, meaner wing design that'll cut drag and produce a lot more lift.
Theoretical glide ratio of the new wing is 29.3.
Ho, 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 ho. But is that theoretical, or have you allowed for the fuselage and...
That's the problem. We haven't allowed for the fuselage in that figure, and so we would be closer to 20 in reality, which is
really
close to your figures.
It knocks a third off?
Yeah, because the fuselage is quite a draggy design.
I can't do much about that because we need to keep the fuselage big to get all our kit in. That's the problem. We're stuck with a fat fuselage. Let's say we want 30 miles to be on the safe side. Can your program calculate the launch height, assuming it's 20:1?
Yes.
For us to get 30 miles?
It's around 8,000 feet we need to be releasing the glider from.
8,000 feet.
Finally, our plan is coming together. We now have a launch height of 8,000 feet. And with a glide ratio of 20:1, our glider should comfortably make it, channel weather permitting. But how, you may be wondering, will our free flight glider know it's supposed to go to France? What's to stop it sodding off to Hastings? Our boffin, Dr. Ben, has come up with a guidance system.
So this is our autopilot. So in here we have gyroscopes, we've got an accelerometer, we have a GPS, so it knows where it's going. We also finally then have this airspeed sensor, and you can work out how fast you're going.
It's pointing where it wants to go. It gets blown that way. It knows that because of the accelerometers. All those little servos will then automatically alter the control surfaces,
Pull it back.
turn it back on course. And all that is in there.
All that's in there. We're never going to have time to test it properly, but lots of people that do this all the time tell me it will just work.
So, buoyed by that tried but not tested scientific endorsement, we assemble the Slingsby Swallow Mark II.
Situation update 3 days in. This is mine and Simi's beautiful fuselage, which is the squarest thing this side of Michael Gove. Over here, the students are working on the starboard wing, working very hard on that. They've been here since 10:30. Over here, there's more students. They're working on the port wing. Similar level of progress. We've got to add the aileron and a bit of covering and so on. And then over here, all the bits at the tailplane, the fin and the rudder, tailplane being sanded to final shape.
Compared with my childhood glider builds, we're making rapid progress, thanks to modern inventions like superglues. They really will stick anything.
This is something that's happened quite a few times already, but I stuck my thumb to the aeroplane with a stray blob of the cyano glue. You can see that bit that's gone. It's my flesh. Yeah.
So, after days in a hangar, anointing the glider with our blood, sweat and ravaged flesh, after hundreds of pieces of balsa and more craftwork than a German nightclub, the new and improved Swallow is finally ready.
This, I've come to realise, is in fact a very British endeavour. We come here inappropriately dressed for the conditions. We are a motley assortment of experts and hobbyists, drinking tea and working very long hours for no money in an old and leaky shed. And yet, I believe we have achieved greatness. And here it is. The Slingsby Swallow, lightly modified by us and still basically a balsa wood glider, just like the ones we all made as kids, only a bit bigger. But it will unite nations.
Finally, a glider fit to carry my childhood vision on its record-breaking flight. We send the joyous news of our achievement to our cousins in Calais. But in reply, they send us not a bottle of champers, but a giant Gallic raspberry.
The news is this. Our glider, our simple, humble model, has to be classified as a drone, according to British Air Traffic Control, which is fine, they're very happy with that. But the French don't really recognise it as a drone. They don't like the idea of an unmanned aerial vehicle full of gizmos entering their airspace. We've had a massive argument about it, but they won't budge. And we've also, of course, got the restrictions of the big lockdown because of some running and jumping competition that's going on in London. And it's really annoying me, to be honest. I mean, France, La Belle France, it is a wonderful place to go and drive around, ride around on a motorcycle or a bicycle, and yes, you get cassoulet by the side of the road. It's very nice. They have wonderful cheeses, excellent local red wines. It's a beautiful place, but at a bureaucratic level, they make us and the Indians look like school children. They're absolutely hopeless, but it doesn't matter because we've got a plan.
We've discovered another channel that's perfect for our attempt. This one is free of French hubris and Olympic interference, but presents us with exactly the same 22-mile record-breaking challenge. What's more, we'll still be extending our giant balsa hand of friendship to a foreign power. We're going to fly from Devon across the Bristol Channel to Wales.
We can even make Wales look a bit like France if we want to, with some clever voiceover and some accordion music and a picture of a croissant. I prefer it, actually. This is better.
So we've swapped Calais for the Valleys, and the British record will still be ours for the taking. However, we've had to admit that there is a fundamental flaw in our plan, something more hopelessly optimistic than building a giant glider in the first place.
We've made the momentous decision that the balloon launch is a stupid idea because basically you only need the slightest puff of wind, the slightest bit of rain, somebody with an air rifle, and it doesn't work properly, and you lose the balloon. It's no good. We've decided we're going to go with a helicopter, very much like this one. We'll have one helicopter to film the flight for your entertainment, and one like this to launch it. And it's good because it can go up when we want it to, it can go up to where we want it to, it can go up and down quickly if we have a technical problem or a camera doesn't work or something like that. There is, however, a problem.
You can't just chuck a glider out of a hovering helicopter. For a start, it could get tangled up in this bit, the complicated mechanism up at the top, and that would be a disaster. Furthermore, the glider itself might be destroyed by the enormous downdraft. So, at the last minute, Simi comes up with an experimental solution.
Excellent. You join us now at Dunkerswell Airfield, where we have introduced this. We call it the crate. It's a sort of glider coffin upside down, if you like. Because we're now going under a helicopter, we can't simply hang the glider underneath. It would start flying as the helicopter moves along. So it's shrouded in this, which hangs underneath the helicopter, and then at the appropriate altitude, the glider is released, drops from underneath it, and flies away. Well, Sim, I can see which way round the glider goes. I'm guessing the wings go in the long bit and the tail goes in the small bit.
That's it, yes.
How does the release work?
So we've got a power going up to the helicopter, which turns this electromagnet on, 24-volt electromagnet.
Right.
That holds that down, and then when we're ready, the pilot will release the power to that, and the glider will simply fall out through the opening at the bottom.
But as the glider drops below, the glider inside the box is effectively in still air.
Yeah.
As soon as it drops out into this, it's going to be in a 15, 20 knot headwind. Will the glider not just fly up into the helicopter or back into its box?
It's certainly possible. I've never done this before.
Well, that's why we're testing it, you see.
As with most of Britain's newest ideas, and quite a lot of her military equipment, success ultimately depends on gaffer tape.
Fine, huh?
Sure.
Fine.
If that comes off, it launches. Is it definitely going to stay on? You sure, Simi?
We're going to see.
Another big concern is whether the crate will start spinning uncontrollably. If it does, it'll be impossible to stop, and the glider might be destroyed even if the release system works. So, to be on the safe side, we nicked the airfield's windsock to act as a stabiliser.
This is the first time a glider has been in the crate. This isn't the final glider, this is the prototype, which you will remember being test flown off the hill. We're not going to drop our proper one for the first time because that would just be too risky. The success of this operation now, everything we've done, the wind tunnel, the design, the new wings, calculating the glide ratio, building it in the hangar, it all really hinges on Sim's woodwork and an electromagnet that we had left over from another project. This actually has to work. If this doesn't work, I'm not sure what we can do in time for tomorrow. Here we go. Windsock works. Look at that. That's tremendous.
Time for the release mechanism. Here we go.
Yes! Look at that! Well done. That's the best thing I've ever seen. That's just fabulous. It's beautiful as well, look at it. Look at that. That magnificent. It works.
That sounds so amazed.
I'm not amazed, I knew it would work, but it's just fact when you first see it and you think, yes. You've got that ugly, no offence in, that ugly square box, and then this beautiful thing drops out of it and flies. It is Lazarus, isn't it? Because that thing is like a tomb and then the glider lives. It's raised, except it's lowered. That's a terrible analogy, cut it out. Absolutely awesome sauce. This is really just a very, very convoluted and elaborate woodwork project, but everything about it works. All we need now is a decent bit of weather. That's all we need. And then we'll make model aviation history. Great. Should we have a pint and talk about it? Let's do that.
Oh yes, the weather. Just as we're packing up and preparing to go to the pub, the phone rings.
Oh, someone's ringing me in there. Oh, it's him. It's Charlie from the Met Office. Let's see. Charlie. Hello. How are you? Rain? I'll try you later on then. All right, thanks very much. Cheers. Bye. Bye. Is that off? Yes. That's remarkable. There's a man who actually does speak like a weather forecast. Even though I was just asking him casually, he was saying, well, in the morning we'll see some bright sunny patches, but with cloud cover increasing towards the middle of the day, and there may be some light showers from 3 in the... Do you think he speaks like that at home? His wife says, "Would you like a cup of tea, darling?" I'm interested in a cup of tea approaching from the kitchen in a westerly direction, temperature roughly 80 to 85 degrees C, becoming colder. It's just remarkable. I thought I'd rung up the telly. Anyway, the gist of it is, tomorrow is good in the morning, but there will be quite a bit of cloud, and the wind is favourable, and the wind isn't favourable in the afternoon, but with light showers developing and the cloud base increasing and lowering. So tomorrow is pretty bad. Which will mean crossing from England to Wales will be difficult. Scotland has seen some heavy showers with a risk of snowfall.
Actually, this isn't funny. The bad weather forecast, as feared, could ruin everything. We can only afford one shot at the record. Cancelling the helicopters at this late stage would be prohibitively expensive. The flight will have to go ahead.
Good morning. It's Friday, it's launch day. In a moment, this will be hoisted aloft and dropped from the special crate. I will be jumping into a very fast boat, which is why I'm dressed like this, to pursue it across the Bristol Channel. And the weather is not perfect, to be honest, but these helicopters and all these people cost a lot of money, and we have no choice but to go for it. On the plus side, the glider is, and the production crew think this is extremely funny, piloted by me. So what terrible thing could befall it? It's difficult to imagine. Look. Look. It's me.
Moments before the launch, I convene the crew to go over the perfectly simple plan. Dover is now Devon and France is now Wales. The balloon is now a helicopter and we launch from Simmy's glider coffin at a height of at least 8,000 feet if we want to set the 22-mile record. I'll follow in a speedboat so I can recover the glider when it hits the deck. And there'll also be a second helicopter with a glider spotter to keep an eye on it. Simple.
We got that in the right position, yes.
Despite the early hour, I'm experiencing that same frisson of excitement I felt as a 10-year-old. Our glider is finally going to take wing.
Right, here we go, and we're heading for Wales, but that obviously is a bit academic. It's a free flight glider. The whole point is you let it go and you see what happens. And when the Swallow drops out of that ugly crate, it will be transformed from a scientific experiment into a magical thing. And it isn't magic, really, it's physics. It's about aerofoils and weights and balance and airflow and all the other things we've talked about. But actually, it is magic. To the boat.
This is it. The clouds are threatening. The plan is convoluted, but the team is ready.
Is it working? It's working. Go.
We appear to have reverted to impatient 10-year-olds, but in reality, we are a crack team. Every second counts.
Unlock the van.
Sadly, Fatty Carswell, our Australian cameraman, has confused his van keys with a fun-sized Mars bar, costing us vital seconds. As the glider helicopter flies on oblivious, we drive frantically to the harbour and our waiting speedboat.
There's no boat here.
I don't believe this.
Yeah, there's absolutely nobody here.
Boarding the glider recovery speedboat was meant to be like something from the opening sequence of a Bond film. Meanwhile, our helicopter is already starting its ascent to launch height.
There's no fucking boat here.
With chaos fast overtaking us, it's up to the director to keep a level head.
The slipway to the harbour? He's at the wrong fucking place. He should be at the pier. Yes, the pier.
Meanwhile, in the chopper, our glider spotter Tom is having his own doubts.
James, Tom.
Roger, go ahead, Tom.
We're currently at 4,000 feet above the coastline. Slightly concerned about the amount of cloud out in the Bristol Channel. At the moment, we can't see Oxwich.
Roger, can you stand by? We have a slight boat problem. As soon as we're in it, we'll make a decision.
The cloud cover is fast becoming an even bigger issue than the boat. Neither of our helicopters is permitted to fly in cloud. Our pilots have to be able to see the ground at all times. On top of that, two helicopters flying blind next to each other could end in what pilots call the drink, especially when one of them is swinging a 2-ton woodwork project on a rope. But look on the bright side, our speedboat has now turned up, meaning we will at least be able to recover the chopper crews.
Golf Oscar Alpha, this is James. Just to confirm, you are west of Ilfracombe, is that correct?
Correct.
Roger, we're almost ready for you to launch. Give us a minute or two to position.
Currently, if we launched from this location, we would be almost directly into cloud.
I can't see them. Can anybody see them?
The delay with our boat has meant the weather has closed in. The helicopter's rotors are now beating the base of the clouds. Tom, our glider spotter, has an emergency remote control to abort the flight if it's about to crash into an orphanage. But flight regulations say we can't launch if he can't see.
They will launch, the glider might go into cloud, in which case it'll have to abort.
It's an impossible situation. We can't fly higher, we can't launch into cloud, and we can't wait any longer.
Right, Tom, is there a case for launching slightly lower so that we miss the cloud?
Yes, I would say so if we were in 500 feet of the cloud base.
OK, do the descent by 500 feet and then we'll go for distance.
Roger.
Reducing altitude by 500 feet so that we clear the cloud.
The helicopter is forced to descend to 2,900 feet, massively lower than the 8,000 we were hoping for, to search for a break in the clouds.
James, we are now visual with the boat. Say again, visual with your boat.
Right, there's the film chopper, there's the launch chopper. Right, this is James in the boat. Golf Oscar Alpha, Golf X-ray, X-ray. Please launch at will at your discretion and report when done.
2, 1, go.
We can see that, thank you very much, that's gorgeous. Fabulous, look at that.
James, autopilot is engaged.
Roger, autopilot engaged. Cloud base, not your fault, Oscar Alpha, thank you.
Yeah, all right, Tom. Anyway, our glider is finally in the air. But the observant among you will have noticed something wrong. Shouldn't it be heading out to sea?
James, I'm getting a lot of pitching fluctuation at the moment.
Actually, I can see that from down here. James to Tom, it's quite difficult to see from here. Which way is it actually heading?
Heading east along the coastline.
Well, that's not right.
We're not sure if it's an autopilot malfunction or just a fear of the Welsh, but either way, the Swallow appears to be heading back to base. But then...
It's going the right way now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chase it, skipper.
Good. We've got to pick up speed.
The glider is now at altitude 1,000, still tracking towards Oxwich Bay.
Roger, 1,000 Oxwich Bay. Looks lovely from down here. How does it look from up there?
View is absolutely gorgeous.
Look at it. Beautiful.
It really is a spectacular sight, but nothing can disguise the fact that what with the weather, the boat, the autopilot and the Mars bar, we were just too low.
Glider's in the water, don't run it down.
Roger, with visual, thanks. How far from shore are we?
2.5 miles.
2.5 miles, that's hopeless.
I'll put you sideways.
Top work. Beautiful.
2.5 miles, nearly 20 miles short of the record and still in sight of Devon. The child's dream dashed anew in adulthood. But the next day, Dawn's recreation reveals a spotless golden sky. Andrew, our launch helicopter pilot, has to take a bride to a wedding at lunchtime. Tom, our glider spotter from Brunel University, is meant to be on his Saturday job delivering groceries for Waitrose. But history won't remember all that bunk. I think we should try this again.
I know I said yesterday that that would be our only chance, and strictly speaking it was. All these people, helicopter pilot, Simi, the boatman, they're now all on very expensive overtime. But look at the weather. Look at the sky. It's clear. The helicopter can go as high as it likes. The problem is, though, you will remember we were going to extend a hand of friendship to Wales. We were going to go from North Devon over to the bay here at Oxwich. The problem is the wind today is a dead easterly. It's going that way, which makes it virtually impossible. But then we discovered the Isle of Lundy down here, directly to the west of our launch point. And more to the point, that is a distance of 22 nautical miles, almost exactly the same as the Channel. That's where we'll fly to. And I know it's not Wales, and that's a bit disappointing, but we thought for the purposes of this film, we'll spell Lundy with 2 L's, and we'll call it Hlundy. Let's go. To the boat. We're going to go halfway between Ilfracombe and Lundy, wait for news of the glider's launch, which we won't be able to see because it's going to be at least 8,500 feet, and then following directions from our satellite navigation tracker who's sitting on a hilltop, we'll learn how fast it's going, which direction it's going in, towards Lundy hopefully, and chase it and hopefully meet it as it comes into an elegant landing.
While we head out to sea, the helicopters describe huge ascending spirals over Ilfracombe as they climb to launch altitude.
Roger, 6,000 feet, sounds excellent. So we're already more than twice as high as we were yesterday. Roger, 7,000, can you keep going? It's tremendous.
We're now just shy of our 8,000-foot launch height, but the weather is so good, the choppers can go higher than we ever thought possible.
9,000 feet.
Altitude 9,900. Still half a mile in your 8 o'clock closing. Level altitude 10,000.
At a final altitude of 10,000 feet plus a length of rope, we're ready.
The island is behind us, and at sea level, the wind is directly in my face as I look east. So it's going to be behind the glider, and it's going to go belting along. It's probably going to have an airspeed of something like 35 knots.
Okay, we're ready. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, release.
Yes, fantastic. Golf X-ray, X-ray, this is the boat. Can you give us an approximation of the glider ground speed, please?
Okay, James, tracking heli. It looks like we're making 30 knots ground speed.
Hey, Roger, 30 knots, thank you.
James, this is Tom.
Not far away.
The glider seems to be tracking well towards Lundy.
We're already a mile offshore with the glider, and we've only lost about 1,000, well, less than 1,000 feet. So, yeah, we need to crack on.
Yeah.
This is the fastest boat in Ilfracombe, but it isn't fast enough. I do a quick calculation. Even though we can't see the glider yet, I know we're never going to beat it to Lundy. It's just flying too well for that.
It's remaining relatively stable.
Okay, and do we think, I know you don't know it exactly, but is it at best distance glide speed?
I would say it's looking very promising at the moment.
Altitude 8,900.
See, we've done a mile and a bit, we've only lost 1,000 feet, so it's gone nearly 2 miles. Well, it'll just make it at this rate. Yeah, but it may not clear the cliffs. But if it lands on the beach, I count that as a success. It's going 1 mile per 1,000 feet now. Sorry, 2 miles per 1,000 feet.
Being told how well the Swallow is flying is very gratifying, but no match for seeing it with our own eyes. But then...
We've made visual, we can see you, fantastic. Hello X-ray, X-ray, you're dead above us.
So cool.
As I said, you spend hours on it, but it's all worth it.
That's miles up.
Upper air turbulence is giving the autopilot a hard time, but no matter. Wood, glue and a few bits of finger have rewarded us with the gift of flight.
James, this is Tom.
Hello Tom, go ahead.
Glider is flying fantastically.
Altitude 4,500 feet.
We should cross the island at this rate at just under 2,000 feet, which would be absolutely fantastic. We can land it where we like. We can fly it through the lighthouse keeper's kitchen window. Continue, sir.
Llundy Hoy. We have to dock our speedboat at a jetty round the side of Lundy. For the first time since Midway, we're forced to lose sight of our toy. Although, to be fair, the goodwill will be dampened if we drop all the camera kit in the sea.
Oh, what a shame we can't actually see it. Look, I can see it. Ah, it's just gone behind the headline. I just saw the... So there's the chopper. I just saw the glider. We'll see it emerge in a minute, I think. There it is. Can you see it?
The Swallow soars over Lundy at an amazing 2,300 feet above sea level.
It's still flying fantastically.
The GPS on the Swallow has been programmed for the landing strip on the south side of the island. Until then, technically, it will be circling that point until it loses all its height. But from the ground, our toy glider is doing victory laps.
It's one of those things in childhood when you think, if only I could have my bicycle at the top of a really long hill so I could enjoy riding downhill all day. And it's the same with the glider. You always think, if only I could throw it out of something thousands of feet high rather than just the bedroom window. That's what we've done. And that's what it will do. Fantastic. I know it's only a toy glider, but allow me to be a bit emotional about it.
After nearly an hour of heroic gliding, it's time for the migrating swallow to land.
Come on, come on.
James, this is Tom. The glider has landed on Lundy. How many feet would you say that is off the runway?
20 feet.
Approximately 20 feet off of the runway.
22 nautical miles, that's just brilliant. From almost beyond the horizon, from the other world, we are pioneers, we are discoverers, setting foot on this strange place with no cars in it.
And so I head across the island to bring our glider home. But, like Captain Cook's landing party, first the Swallow must survive an encounter with the natives.
It's a play one. It says it's from Jamie's.
Oh, look, there's a little man in the front. Yes, somebody's made it, haven't they?
I know which guy that is off Top Gear. He's a really stupid one.
Luckily for them, it takes the stupid ones so long to hike across the island that the locals have run away.
If I'm on TV.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you look behind you, very briefly, you will see where our glider has come from. Ilfracombe, sticking out over there, only just visible in the slight haze. This has been a pioneering flight by a toy glider, one that's never been made before, and it set off like the Mayflower or Apollo 8, not really knowing if this was possible. But here it is, the first. And remember, the first to do something stays in the record book forever. In my lifetime, there have been two very important announcements made concerning historic moments in aviation. The Eagle has landed, and the Swallow has flown.
We tried to build the world's biggest train set. Our aim was a 10-mile-long double-O gauge track. It would follow the route of the abandoned railway that once linked the Devonshire towns of Barnstaple and Bideford. 5 model trains departed Barnstaple, including one that I've owned since I was just 9 years old.
Long live the Flying Scotsman!
But it all went horribly wrong.
More? Sounds like the engine's faltering.
Even though they were propelled by the goodwill of a huge crowd, not one of the 5 trains made it home, the last one expiring at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Now, I'll be honest, I am bitterly disappointed that we haven't got to Bideford. We've got as far as Instow from Barnstaple, that's about 7 miles. And the thing is, my 37-year-old Flying Scotsman, despite my efforts, that failed on the first bend. And that could have been the end of that. But of all the toys we featured in that series, the train set remains the closest to my heart. And I couldn't just leave its reputation broken down by the side of the line. And so, like the great pioneering railwaymen of old, Trevithick, Blenkinsop, Stevenson, I decided to carry on.
So we're back to try again. And to make it even more difficult, we've decided to add an element of competition, a race. I will be in charge of a team of locals and toy train enthusiasts.
Go.
And our opponents? The greatest model train experts in the known world, the Germans. This is Miniature Wunderland, the biggest toy train attraction on the planet. There is nothing fat controllers Sebastian and Gerrit don't know about supersized train sets. Last time they came over to Devon to offer me advice. This time they're coming back as my rivals.
It was such a great idea last time.
And with Miniature Wunderland's 900 trains having travelled a colossal 2.5 million miles, it's little wonder they fancy their chances.
We're absolutely confident to win this race because we love to win. We are absolutely motivated to do everything to win this race.
Confident they may be, but this epic near 10-mile route will be a daunting technical challenge, even for them. Leaving Barnstable behind, the toy trains meander through new-build suburbs towards the route of the old railway. Next, they power along a windswept 2-mile straight. A quarter of the course is complete when we reach Fremington Junction. Once a thriving industrial hub, it's best known today for its fine cafe serving local produce. Now it's full steam ahead along a grueling 2.5 mile straight. It is here that blistering speeds of more than 2 miles an hour may be recorded. At 4.5 miles, we reach the level crossing at Yelland. This is only halfway. With Yelland rapidly diminishing in the view from the guards van, the route continues to the seaside town of Instow. This is where the final train died last time. With 3/4 of the course complete, the final 2 miles negotiate a series of treacherous chicanes alongside the B3233. Our trains then thunder under the monumental Torridge Bridge. Their hot crank pins begging for mercy, they gird their loins for a last climb into the town before finally arriving here at the disused platforms of the old station at Bideford, where no one has seen a train arrive for over 30 years. Not even a toy one. And the distance, over 700 miles at toy train scale, is only the start of it.
By making this a race, we've actually introduced another problem. Last time we tried this, we had a single track. Now, of course, we will need a double track so that 2 trains can compete in opposite directions. And because this is a competition, we will need some proper rules. Germans will like that.
I've gathered my hand-picked selection of local volunteers, dignitaries and experts for a briefing.
Ladies, gentlemen, welcome to the second and final annual Barnstable to Bideford Train Challenge. There will be 2 teams. The Germans shall be starting here in Bideford and racing to Barnstable. We, the British team, will be starting here in Barnstable and racing to Bideford.
The race is a best out of 3 competition between trains representing different eras. First off, the age of steam. My childhood Flying Scotsman is back and will take on the German BR-58, the sturdy workhorse of the interwar years. Next, in the diesel-electric category, the stalwart Intercity 125 will face off against the high-speed German ET403, nicknamed the Donald Duck. Finally, the future. A high-tech battle between top-secret trains modified to run on any power system the teams choose. Whoever wins this best out of 3 challenge carries the day.
Are there any questions?
Good.
What gives me great hope about our effort is the massive variety of people that this little idea has brought together, because in this room we have
vicars, we've got some mayors, we've got technical people, retired people, children, old people, men and women, you know, all these walks of life, they've all been brought together and all possible differences are washed away by this desire to get a toy train from Barnstable to Bideford. And I just don't see, looking at those people, how it can possibly fail. I mean that, I'm not being sarcastic. How can it go wrong with that? This is what makes Britain great.
But while our team is still digesting the rules, the Germans are forging ahead with work on their toy train of the future. Under the rules, they must develop one main secret weapon, plus a backup should things go wrong on the big day.
This is what we like about the challenge, to develop different types of power, just to test something what has never been connected to a train.
So if to power on a locomotive for this, you need about 2,000, 3,000 apples.
Every possibility is being meticulously researched, from absurd fruit-based solutions to good old clockwork. But their greatest breakthrough has been adapting a fuel that has driven the German people for centuries.
We're trying to make liquor out of sauerkraut. That was something like an idea to play with a very German stereotype, the crowds. So we said, of course, we can make a train out of kraut. This is our sauerkraut liquor, very, very fine liquor. Cheers, James. So let's go to the train, or? Yep.
With the very lifeblood of the nation powering their secret train through a small piston engine, this moonshine-fueled 90% proof prototype will present a serious threat. The Sauerkraut Screamer may well be the loudest toy train ever known to man, but it is also a stark reminder of just how committed to this challenge the German team is. But let's not write the British off yet. My chief engineer, Sim, is ready with a radical idea of his own. This may look a bit rough and ready. Actually, it looks like a skateboard. Sim will explain.
So what we're going to do, I've actually already done this, you see, so you didn't notice. There's a bogey there and a bogey there.
Right.
Bogey in train talk means a separate pivoting wheeled chassis, not snot.
Break it.
And it's going to push
It's going to
our
push.
secret train.
Yes, it's
Right.
going to push an Hitachi class.
Once it's fitted, this ducted fan should give our train a top speed of over 8 miles an hour. And the opportunities for technological spin-off are huge.
Your hair looks better.
While Sim rummages in his toolkit for a wire brush, I head to Barnstable Station to meet a man who has stumbled valiantly beside me on many a heroic endeavour.
I mean, of course, the wine connoisseur and train enthusiast, Oz Woody High Notes Clark, here on the 6:02 arrival into Barnstable.
Oz was with me for the last attempt. I even let him look after one of the trains.
Hey, there's my boy.
Which made it a gallant halfway along the course before the inevitable.
I've just heard a rumour that my train may have burnt out.
Despite that trauma, he's agreed to come and help me again. Sadly, his love of train timetables seems to be ironic.
I was looking for Oz Clark, he was going to be on this train. No, he was, but no, it's not your fault. It's almost certainly his. How did you get off the train without me seeing you?
I came by car. What do you expect?
You didn't. We're going to the pub.
Oh, great.
Come with me.
Oz thinks he's here to help me choose the steam engine for the race. What he doesn't know is that he has a choice of one.
Oz, I've been wasting your time. Because what we shall actually be running to represent the era of steam is my childhood Flying Scotsman with realistic chuffing sound. There you go.
Oh, James. I mean, the thing about the Flying Scotsman, It's possibly one of the most wonderful engines ever built. When it was real, first one that ever went 100 miles an hour, the chap called Bill Sparshat at the wheel. This is a great engine when it's the real thing. But we've used it before.
Yes.
How many yards did it get?
30.
It went 30 yards, James.
Listen, I have dismantled that engine since then to make sure it is within tolerances and it runs smoothly. I've checked every single wire, every single blob of solder in here, every single insulator for electrical fidelity. I've reassembled the whole thing with lubricant, with gloved hands, under a magnifying glass. And this is now, despite everything that happened before, this is now the finest example of the Flying Scotsman with realistic chuffing sound in the country. I'm asking you to drive what is, well, undoubtedly the most precious of my surviving childhood possessions. It's my fun. Could you try and be a little bit more gracious about it?
You're not tearing up, are you?
I'm getting slightly hacked off with you for being dismissive about it. Look at it. Are you going to drive my Flying Scotsman?
Yes, I think so.
Thank you.
And I will do my level best to get it to Bideford.
Thank you. Right.
30 yards.
Next morning at our Barnstable HQ, and I'm hard at work on a plan designed to lay to rest some of the ghosts of our last failed attempt. Last time we had over 160 car batteries continuously powering the whole track. This meant the power could never be turned off. Holding trains in place while resetting them on the track caused intolerable strain to their motors. This time, the track will be divided into 100-metre sections electrically isolated from each other. There will be only 2 batteries per train, plugged into the track by operators who will leapfrog each other from section to section when the all clear is flagged. Leading the way, a cleaning device will clear away any leaves on the line. This system of supplying power to the track only when it is needed will bring us to a certain and uninterrupted victory.
I have to say, this works so far.
But while my dedicated train teams continue to practice for the 2012 Olympic battery relay event, there is still a huge problem bearing down on us like a runaway express. We're going to have to lay almost 10 miles of double track across rural North Devon. And to save you doing the arithmetic, that's over 45,000 individual pieces.
Now, last time we laid our track using this, the R8090 semi-flexible track. Now, this stuff is beloved of serious railway modelers because you can shape it any way you like to make very, very clever curves. You can also cut it to any length you want, and that's brilliant. But it does have a few disadvantages as far as we're concerned. The first is the little fish plates, the joiners that make the track stick together, are not on it. You have to put these on yourself. Pretty quickly you get extremely sore fingers. Also, this stuff is quite fragile. If it's being manhandled in large volumes, you very easily go, whoopsie, and break a bit off like that. This time, we're doing away with that stuff, and we're going to use this. This is part number R603. This is the sort of track you get in your beginner's train set. It's perfectly stiff. The fish plates are already in place, and because you're going to give this to your kids to play with, and they're going to play with it on the floor, it is designed to be pretty much indestructible.
Now we have the right track, it's time to reveal something that the great pioneers of overlong model railway building have been crying out for. This is the world's first ever track-o-matic. Created by Sim, it's designed to do for model track laying what sliced bread did for sandwiches.
Parallel. Yes. Right. That's amazing. How does it work?
It turns out to be quite simple, in theory. Track is automatically fed down these chutes at the same pace as the machine's forward motion. It remains only to push the pieces together.
And it works. That's all you have to do. You walk along going like that.
Yeah, so one either side, you're that side, I'm this side, and we go ding, ding, ding.
Dunk.
Poor fella pulling it.
Dunk. So we have to yoke a shoeless Victorian urchin to the front to drag it along the railway route. Do you know what, Sim? I think the global market for this machine is going to be inconceivably small. but it is brilliant.
I think you might be right.
Well done. Right, the only way to see if this actually works is to lay some track.
Let's do that.
Let's fill this car park with track. Right, who wants to be the small Victorian child? Only has to go slowly. Don't worry, then you get some gruel.
Now, this time-lapse sequence was supposed to show the Track-O-Matic crossing the car park as a flashing blur, leaving perfectly laid, perfectly straight track in its astonishing wake. But after 30 minutes, we'd only laid 10 metres.
Stop, yeah? I thought they'd be going a little bit faster. Yeah. Stop, yeah?
Some of you at this point may have doubts about the efficacy of the Track-O-Matic machine, but don't, because it's at a sort of late prototype stage, and by the time Simmy goes to bed at about 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'm sure it'll be fine. The most important point is that in the real world, not false television jeopardy or any of that, this is the thing that matters most. Almost more than the Flying Scotsman. That's how serious it is, with realistic chuffing sound. Dawn. Barnstable's revellers are abed, blissfully unaware that while they dream of the coming new railway age, the Germans have arrived. They are getting to grips with the Track-O-Matic. Having laid only 1 mile in over 3 hours, they don't seem very impressed with it. Or maybe they're just too amazed by it.
Because no one's ever seen it before and no one's ever seen anything like it, I think Sim's Track-O-Matic machine is as marvellous to behold as maybe Babbage's difference engine was, or Maudsley's screw-cutting lathe. It is an amazing piece of work. It's fantastic, but the sad fact is it's quite a bit slower than we were expecting, and time and distance wait for no railway modeller.
And so track laying continued as it had through most of history, a gruelling and thankless manual task overseen by grumbling, underpaid navvies. And as the tiny silvery shoots of railway recovery grew excruciatingly out of Barnstable, I realised once again the foolhardiness of the whole endeavour. Hello viewers, here I am alone in my hotel room, and I wanted to say that time has a fantastic facility for polishing up what are actually horrible memories. That's why we think our school days were great, when obviously they must have been pretty terrible most of the time. And time has diminished the distance we have to go over the last year and a half, and it's shrunk in my memory. But now I've been along the Tarka Trail again on a bicycle, I realise that it is, in layman's terms, a chuffing long way for a train this big, designed to run on a tabletop, or maybe around the attic or the garage, but not out there, not with that wind and the rain and the blazing sun and the grit and the dirt and the giant leaves and the gravel and the people treading on it and the bicycles and the dogs. It is a big one. We finished the track at 7 a.m, just an hour before hordes of locals gather for the start of the greatest railway race in Devonian history. It's clear that restoring the railway destroyed by Dr. Beeching truly matters. But something is wrong. The surviving stations are to the wrong scale. That needs sorting.
The aim is to build a station here with scenery for the trains to arrive at. The scouts are here to help, to build the scenery and everything to go along with it.
The trains and the townsfolk are ready. All we need now is the fattest of fat controllers.
Heavenly Father, we just ask your blessing on our day. Amen.
Amen.
And now we're going to anoint the Flying Scotsman with appropriately some Scotch malt whiskey.
But while we put our faith in God, down at the other end of the line, the Germans are putting theirs in the details.
We worked at these trains for about 1 month, and we have very, very good people around us who know so much about trains, and I guess they developed a very good system. I personally trust very much in them.
And I very much trust in our team. Well, most of them.
Oh yay! Oh yay! Oh yay! Pray silence for James May's race from Barnstable to Bideford, and this year featuring a challenge from the Germans.
Ladies and gentlemen, what matters today is not who wins. What matters is that one of these trains makes a successful home run. We owe it to the people of Barnstable and the people of Bideford. We owe it to everybody who has helped us. We owe it to the hobby of toy trains, and we owe it to the ghosts of old railwaymen who have long since bought their one-way ticket to the great station Bothy among the stars. But most importantly, Oz and I do not want to come back and do this every year for the rest of our lives. Steve, I believe a train is ready to depart from the station. If you do the honours, please, sir. Doesn't work.
No.
Oh, God, not again.
It's not the battery.
And worse still, it's given the German team a golden opportunity to race into an early lead.
2, 1, go!
Well, I suppose this technically means that we are now winning.
Okay. Go, sir.
Finally! And just look at her go.
Flying Scotsman going up an incline like that at that speed, unheard of. Now this is the big thing. Can it get around that bend? Nice and slow, slow, slow. Oh, look at the speed!
And the Germans too are no longer backward in coming forward. The steam race is well and truly on.
This is marvellous.
This is the moment I've dreamed of. My Flying Scotsman, like winged Hermes soaring on towards victory.
It's gone 3 times as far as it went last year.
Meanwhile, back at the stations, the diesel-electric race is under starters' orders. These express trains travel at a greater scale speed than the steam locos and should provide an exciting high-velocity duel to the bitter end. The 125 will be running at the regulation 12 volts, as recommended by its driver, Simon Kohler from Hornby.
Yeah, whoa, easy boy.
I'll leave it on 12, yeah?
But the Germans are taking a huge gamble. They've upped the power to a whopping 18 volts. The Donald Duck will certainly go faster, but it could easily burn out its motor. Meanwhile, half a mile up the track.
Now, you see, the Flying Scotsman, Oz, has cleared suburbia and is now on what is the true Tarka Trail, the old Barnstable to Bideford link of the Atlantic Coast Express route. And there it goes.
And I'm thinking of it as though it's heading down Grantham to Peterborough, heading for 100 miles an hour.
Godspeed, the Flying Scotsman. Nothing can beat that. Fantastic. Look at it go. Look at it derail.
Edit that out.
Luckily, the German train has also come to a halt and is comfortably behind the Flying Scotsman. But as the technicians struggle to repair the fault, what should come racing round the bend? It's the 18-volt Donald Duck.
Oh, he's already there.
He's already there.
He's 4 times faster with the second train. It just took him 20 minutes to be at this train. Oh, look at that. It's so much faster. Oh. Now we have to run. We have to run with this train.
Sebastian and Gerrit have no time for losers and leave the stricken steam train for its team to sort out. But despite its impressive speed, the Donald Duck has only drawn marginally ahead of our own Intercity 125, which has raced past the derailed Flying Scotsman to lead the British charge. With the contest evenly balanced, it's time to release the secret weapons. Sim has already stunned the world with his Track-O-Matic machine. Now, his ducted Fan Express will blast Britain into the pages of the toy train record book.
Yeah. It's just going to go like hell, this thing.
Yeah. One thing it hasn't got is brakes.
But it works. It's a bit unstable, Simmy, if you don't mind me saying.
No brakes.
It was quite a nice idea.
Meanwhile, back at the German start.
The sauerkraut special will arrive in Barnstable in 5 hours.
The sauerkraut screamer roars out of the station, and with Sim's train off the track, the Germans take an overall lead in the race.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I hear.
Wir haben ein dickes Problem, unser Zug ist explodiert.
The train exploded.
Train exploded.
Yes.
Come on. Okay, we're going backwards.
This is a great opportunity for the ducted Fan Express to show the Germans a clean pair of wheels. But just how fast can it go? The answer is very fast indeed.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh, Sim, that's a massive loss of life.
Yeah.
The journey from London to Paris could be quite quick, briefly, and then fatal.
Not that I would ever doubt Sim, but I have been working on a backup plan in case anything like this happened.
Shall we try top secret train number 2?
Oh, there's another wheel.
This is Dr. Ben, PhD, who for the last 10 days has been working on a world first. A power system that could change the face of model railways forever, and many other things besides. Time to unveil it.
And here we have Dr. Ben's hydrogen fuel cell transport solution. Quite simply, it is a fuel cell powered electric commuter train. Now, over the past few days, we have extracted hydrogen from water using sunlight. It's been stored in these canisters inside the coaches, and it's fed in to a hydrogen fuel cell here. That generates electricity, which drives the motors in the train. It doesn't take any power from the track. It's completely self-contained. The only slight issue with it is that all this bit, the fuel cell and the associated electronics, they're quite bulky. But in time, if this proves successful, they will, of course, be gradually miniaturized, like everything else was, the radio and so on, and then they will fit inside the scale model train. In the meantime, though, because that's slightly unsightly, we're going to disguise it as Thomas the Tank Engine.
Oh yay! Oh yay! Pray silence for the launch of the replacement modified train as allowed in the rules. This is Dr. Ben's hydrogen-fueled thing.
You can't remember what it's called.
This is Dr. Ben's hydrogen-fueled cell.
It's not that complicated. That's magnificent. Right, you're on your own, Dr. Ben.
Thank you very much, sir.
See you in 10 miles.
Smarting from the failure of their cabbage-powered commuter concept, Sebastian and Gerrit rush to unleash their backup secret weapon. They're apparently quite pleased with it.
We put so much energy in this small train, it's enough to run this race 2 hours.
While we're running on hydrogen, the Germans have stuffed their train full of lithium batteries and the guarantee of truly enormous speed.
We're starting slowly, but it can go much faster.
It certainly is speedy, but the weight of the batteries makes it very unstable.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
we don't have any other weight, so we have to improvise and put some batteries on the side so that the balance is much better on the track.
If I've got this right, they're using the weight of extra batteries to weigh down the batteries.
This is not even half speed, what we are going now. This train can be a rocket train, but if you don't find a solution with the weight, we can't go full speed.
So, 2 hours into the big day, we now have all 6 trains running along the course. Time for a race update. The Germans are leading the diesel-electric showdown by half a mile. But the British are edging ahead in the steam category by 300 yards. With the secret weapons neck and neck, it's all square with everything to play for.
We're running a bit short of coal, fuel, and bacon and eggs to actually cook on the footplate. Apart from that, 4472 Flying Scotsman has never been more glorious.
And the realistic chuffing sound is still working.
The realistic chuffing sound.
I expected that to wear out. I know it doesn't seem like much to you, but that's one of the nicest things I've ever seen. Look at that. Look at its little heart beating. After all those years incarcerated in the attic, here it is, on the Tarka Trail, approaching the quayside. My Flying Scotsman with realistic chuffing sound.
While I'm distracted by nostalgia, Germany's Donald Duck is reaching an important milestone. It's arrived at its first checkpoint, Instow, which means they've completed a third of the course. Donald glides supremely through the complex curves of Instow Crossing and out into open country. But the British Intercity 125, with its finely tuned team of flag wavers and leapfrogging batterymen, is running superbly as it too nears its first checkpoint, Fremington.
Here it comes. Thank you. Marvellous. Hello. Hello, Simon.
Hello, James. How are you doing?
The Germans' second train, the Donald Duck diesel, has just gone past Instow.
OK. Well, we'll see what happens at the end of the day. But if they're using full power, if they're using 18 volts all the time, I suspect they may have a few problems.
So do I.
Psychic Simon is right on the money. Even as he speaks, the Germans' high-voltage gamble goes wrong.
Okay, then
Luckily for them, they have Wolfgang, their chief engineer, who has a comprehensive kit of small parts to sort out the overstressed engine.
Go!
Wolfgang clearly has the touch of the master engineer. Thank God I have someone similar tending to my Flying Scotsman.
Whiskey was sent south from Scotland to be distilled into gin. It wasn't for the Prohibition. I mean, God knows what would have happened to the whiskey market. And Prohibition meant...
Oz, the trains come off.
200 million people all wanting a drink in America. And artificial whiskey, there was such rubbish.
But if my Flying Scotsman is suffering from neglect, its opponent, the BR-58, has too much company for comfort. 2 miles out of Bideford, civil war is breaking out between the drivers of the steam engine and the much faster lithium-powered secret weapon.
Take it away! Slowly, train!
Take this way.
Go away!
Yeah, just hold it.
The steam train finally makes way.
Ladies first. See you later.
Very nice. See you later, yes.
Only for the modified train to fall off the line, leaving the steam train to crawl past.
Yes, power. Yes? Okay.
Before finally the modified train overtakes properly and leaves the steam train for dead.
Oh, and now I'm the last.
The next hour passes in a blur of nerve-shredding racing. But now, 4 miles out and approaching the halfway mark at Yelland, Germany's Donald Duck hits a snag. Dirt on the track is slowing progress to a crawl. Then Gerrit comes up with a suspiciously familiar track cleaning device, something we trademarked days earlier.
Garrett just had the brilliant idea to clean the track with the stick. And since we do that, we are nearly 20% faster. So we are nearly at Yelland, half of the track. So there's maybe a small chance left.
With its speed restored, the German electric train storms through Yelland, and a record-breaking half-mile burst brings it close to crossover with its British opponent. I decide to lead a scouting party.
Where's your train?
It's coming. Hello.
It's coming, yes, I believe.
We're not far behind.
Hey, James, how are you?
How does that go so fast? I'm baffled.
We don't have any clue why this unmodified terrain is doing so well. Yeah.
That's modified, come on.
No, that's not modified, not at all. It's all about Garrett, the cleaner.
This is the Garrett.
I'm staggered, that's so fast.
The Germans just coming whizzing past us now, going great guns. Well done, guys.
I saw the difference in the speed, and our train was running quicker.
After 4 hours, the race is entering a critical phase. Here's an update. Battling at the back of the field, the Flying Scotsman leads the steam race. The secret weapons are still neck and neck at 4 miles apiece. But up in front, the Donald Duck has opened up a clear 1 mile lead over the 125. And with such a handsome advantage, the Germans are becoming slightly complacent.
I hope James is as relaxed as we and is just enjoying this beautiful weather and this wonderful spring air, and is just having fun doing this race. The sun is shining. It's wonderful out here. So it's a bit like holiday. Yeah, I like this day.
Yes. What?
Have a break.
Have a break.
So die letzten 300-400 Meter lief's nicht mehr so runter.
Good ice cream.
Perfekt.
Okay, thank you. The Germans are at Fremington, i.e. 2.3 miles from the Barnstable end. They're so cocky, they're so confident of winning, the whole team has stopped for an ice cream. Actually, this is a tortoise and hare moment because that could be a grave error. Who knows what lies ahead? There could be all sorts of problems. They've got to go down that hill to the muddy bit, they've got to go through the underpass. Anything could have happened down there.
While the Germans enjoy the best ice cream North Devon has to offer, their diesel-electric rival is racing towards the 2/3 distance and a significant and rather emotional landmark.
This is where we got to
Last time.
last time.
And you're going to go
And it was at 1 o'clock. I was filthy, having fallen in a ditch because it was pitch black. But this is where the last train gave up the ghost, and that was it.
But this time we arrive at Instow and just keep on going. Fantastic.
Hey, I tell you, this is really good. From the last time I was so upset, so depressed, but this is elated. This is great. This is fabulous. Absolutely wonderful. I wish James was here actually, because he witnessed the demise of the other loco.
Well, I'm not that far behind.
It is 15:10. This is Yelland Crossing. It's the midway point of the course. Coming from that direction, very close now, minus its Thomas cover because it was causing problems with it toppling over, but it's Dr. Ben's hydrogen fuel cell transport solution. But down there, look, if you can just see, is the Germans' second place train approaching the same point, their alternative technology.
To keep his train from falling over, like the Germans, Dr. Ben has patented Dr. Ben's Hydrogen Fuel Cell Transport Solution Stability Solution, or Holder Honour for short.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ben's Hydrogen Fuel Cell Transport Solution.
We're here.
What's that bit for?
It's a little bit wobbly, so we have to stay upright. We go fast, just not straight.
Fair enough. It is pioneering technology.
Oh. Uh-oh. Hello, hello. Hello.
Despite their distinctly inferior AA battery balancer, the Germans remain confident.
This is a winner train.
Oh, what a rotten bit of luck. That's their modified train. So our modified trains have crossed within 20 seconds of each other at the midway point. This is the real race. That's very exciting. Dr. Ben, more power.
And 30 minutes later, there's more good news for Team GB. The Flying Scotsman reaches the halfway point before the BR-58. This is great. But then, disaster.
I think I'd rather push up the incline a bit.
The Scotsman's central chassis block must be replaced. It means dismantling the whole locomotive, a job normally carried out in a spotless workshop. It's a nail-biting moment for the crowd.
I need to have a word with you, actually, Driver Clark.
What about overdriving your train?
Nope.
What about the quality of the coal I'm putting in?
Dereliction of duty.
Dereliction of duty?
I've heard reports of you poncing around talking to people about wine and stuff and not looking
No, that
after
was a complete mistake. And in fact, I set up a refreshment station for you. But you
Oz's pathetic protestations of innocence are thankfully interrupted by a phone call from our spies in the German camp.
Hello? Right, OK. Well, that's marvellous. Thank you. Bye-bye. They're almost there. 20 minutes away.
Can you see Barnstable over there?
This
there
is
we
Barnstable?
go. This is Barnstable.
But they haven't won yet. Not while Simon Kohler and the British Intercity 125 are on the home straight to Bideford.
I'm kind of nervous now when we are on the last 200 meters, or how much is it? I don't know. But just behind this tunnel.
Power, power, power!
Into the train station. Because we're that cool.
Lars, hier ist Sebastian. Sag mal, könnt ihr in Barnstable gleich mal ein paar Bier organisieren? Can you organize a few beer at the Barnstable station for all of us? Yes!
At 4:25, the Donald Duck reaches Barnstable Station car park.
So I guess we did it.
I think we have
Yeah.
not confirmed.
Yeah.
That's last we heard.
Yeah. Oh.
So good.
Getriebeschaden. No. No. The gearbox.
Wolfgang! Gearbox!
The gearbox. The gearbox.
I think there's something wrong with the gearbox.
The gearbox.
The truth! The gearbox! Was? Getriebe! Nein!
Ja, komm, wo ist Wolfgang?
Oh, wir haben nichts mehr. Wolfgang!
the gearbox is broken. Maybe 20 meters. I can't believe it.
As British Rail once said, let the train take the strain, but not too much.
Mr. Town Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, the English team is now on the home straight at Wesley Straight. However, the Germans are 100 yards from Barnstable railway station. But they have broken down.
Yeah, the engine is broken 20 meters before the target. We don't have any idea if we can fix it.
Not long to go now. We just keep our fingers crossed that she hangs in there.
Nein. Musst du entscheiden.
Nein, nein, nein. Wir haben Zeit. Mach. Da muss noch mal raus. Da fehlt
Okay.
What have we got?
Yeah, I guess we fixed it. It should be enough for 20 meters. Hopefully.
Come on!
Power on. Come on. Come on. Oh, be careful. It's still 20 yards.
Did somebody hear something about James?
Simon and his team are racing through the Bideford suburbs, but with the Germans back on the move, surely it's all over.
This is maybe too much for the train. We're power.
But the curse of the gearbox strikes again. This time just 10 yards from the finish line.
I just want to keep going now.
It's impossible to do a ramp like that with an untuned miniature train.
Okay. Power on!
Power on.
Komm.
Ja. Good job, guys.
Bloody hell is that? Yeah. Hello?
Hello.
And congratulations.
Yeah, see you in the pub later. Okay.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you. Bye. He doesn't sound so happy. He said, in a voice like that, congratulations, Sebastian.
While Sebastian and Gerrit celebrate, I reluctantly leave the repaired Scotsman in the unsteady hands of driver Clark and head up to Bideford, where the crowds are waiting for the first of the British trains to arrive.
This is great. Well done, Ed. The completion of 10 miles. I think everyone's done really well. It's been a good walk.
In second place it may be, but after 7 hours, our tiny 125 rushes into Bideford station.
First of the British team home. Yes! Hey!
Fantastic!
That is excellent. The first two trains home have both been out-of-the-box models. Look at that.
And for Simon Kohler, a veteran of our previous failure, it's a moment to savour.
Fantastic.
Great.
Oh, it's quite emotional.
Yes! Oh, sorry. That is emotional.
So, we're 1-0 down, but back out on the track, the race is far from over. When we last saw them, the alternative energy teams were neck and neck at the halfway point. Since then, the Germans have found their rhythm and their speed and have passed the final checkpoint of Fremington with ease.
The winning team is coming! The winning team is coming!
Dr. Ben has also reached his final checkpoint at Instow, but he's not exactly speeding along. If he loses, then Germany will have an unassailable 2-0 lead.
Hey, look, here's Barnstable.
Yes,
The end.
Barnstable.
Yes. Good. We can see the end.
But remember the old saying, zählen Sie nicht Ihre Hühner, roughly translated as, don't count your hens.
Beide.
And no prizes for guessing what's gone wrong.
Gear.
Ah,
Gear.
the gear. They tried to get this bloody train near Barnstable. 2 miles. 2 miles left. And that's so bloody awful.
So, with the German hope crippled and forced to go at its lowest speed, all that's left is for Dr. Ben to safely bring home his hydrogen fuel cell transport solution. And just to rub it in, we've even taken the liberty of reinstating Thomas the Tank Engine for the home straight.
Will you please welcome the British hydrogen train?
Hello, said Thomas. Dr. Ben's hydrogen fuel cell transport solution!
Seven hours 14 is about twice as long as I hoped to do, but it's pretty good. So I reckon if we came back with proper Vorsprung durch Technik on the mechanics, then the fuel cell would do it. So I think for first go, two weeks work, pretty cool actually.
1834 hours. Congratulations. Right. Now for the emotional one. The Flying Scotsman.
There's nothing I can do but wait. News comes from down the line. The Germans' modified train with its dodgy gearbox has limped into Barnstable station. I await the inevitable second message. Scotsman broken down again for good, stop. Driver Clark AWOL in pub, stop. German steam train that moves slower than a Chekhov play, now certain to win, stop. Come on, Oz.
Is that Oz?
Yeah.
Is that Oz?
Yeah.
That's Oz. I can hear the realistic chuffing noise. Come on, driver Clark.
I hope Bill Sparshat, the record-breaking driver of the real Flying Scotsman, is looking down on this. Because here's a new record, latest arrival in railway history. It's 18 months overdue, but it's here now.
Oh, look at this. Here it comes. All the way from Barnstable and all the way from my childhood. Flying Scotsman with realistic chuffing sound. Come on. Come on. It's there. Driver Clark. I will allow you to embrace me. Oh, God. All the way.
That's the first time you've ever allowed me to embrace you in all the time I've known
Honestly,
you.
man, all the way from 1972, my childhood, Barnstable, the annals of history. Well done, mate.
Thank you.
Flying Scotsman with realistic chuffing sound. Look at that. Yes. Driver Clark, you bought her home. Thank you.
You trusted me.
I did. I wasn't sure I could. Good man.
A pint?
Yes.
2 pints?
Yes.
Yes. Where are they?
Over there.
Let's go.
In the station bar.
Hang on. What happened to the German steam train?
This is a nut, and this is a bolt. And without the nut and bolt, we would be nowhere, because nuts and bolts hold the mechanical world together. And that is why this tiny, tiny nut and this tiny bolt are the most essential elements in the most iconic constructional toy of the 20th century, Meccano. And if you're good at Meccano, you can make things like this, or even this, and if you have lots of Meccano, you could make something like this fully operating crane. Or if the amount of Meccano you have is measured in tons, you could do something like this.
In 2009, we built a full-size bridge over a canal in Liverpool.
Behold, the Meccano Bridge of No Return.
Thus proving that toy engineering could unite communities and support the weight of a slightly fat bloke.
Hello, Liverpool!
This left us wondering, just how far can a big box of these self-assembly components be pushed? We decided to subject it to the most fatiguing test of metal and mind yet devised. The TT racecourse on the Isle of Man.
Motorcycles have been raced around the Isle of Man for well over 100 years, and in that time there have been many classes of racing. Now, in the early days, it was a simple matter of single-cylinder or twin-cylinder machines, but since then we've had lightweights, super stock, super sport, superbike, and sidecar races.
There's F1, newcomers, juniors, seniors, Formula Classic, senior post-classic, and classic superbike. It's an exhaustive list that took ages to learn, which is why it's in voiceover.
And yet, in all this time, there has never been a Class 4 or any record set by a homemade motorcycle built from a classic constructional toy. Now, that is a terrible oversight on the part of the road racing motorcycling fraternity. Something has to be done.
This dapper chap is Sim Oakley, Toy Story's chief engineer. For the next 6 weeks, he has been banished to his shed, where his job is to conceive and build a full-size working motorcycle made entirely out of this flimsy stuff. Our objective? To complete 1 lap of the Isle of Man's famous circuit. It's a 200-corner blur of city streets, twisting country lanes and treacherous mountain bends. Get it right and a top rider can reach speeds of over 200 miles per hour. But get it wrong. Thankfully, local hero Connor Cummins recovered and raced again. So what drives this apparent lunacy? Africa may be the cradle of mankind, but the Isle of Man is the cradle of his motorcycle. Since 1907, all the great names in motorcycling have been here, treating the island as a testing ground for new bike technology. And we plan to join them with the Meccano Mark I. But first, to the pub to consider some fundamental engineering problems.
So will I have to sit on a... I mean, what would a seat be made of? These bent... I'm just going to have an arse full of nuts and bolts, aren't I? Yeah. It's funny, I've done a bit of motorcycle restoration, but when you look at all the bits, you sort of think,
Well, yeah, that's actually a small motorcycle in bits. But when you look at that, I can't see the motorcycle in it. So if you've got a whole motorcycle held together with those, it's going to completely disintegrate within a quarter of a mile. It is just designed for making tabletop cranes, isn't it?
It is.
But hang on a second. There was a time when Meccano was responsible for the fledgling dreams of generations of engineers. And as its inventor Frank Hornby would tell you, were he not dead, you are limited only by your imagination and the blood spouting from your fingers. But while building the bike is daunting enough, getting permission to drive it around the hallowed TT circuit is proving even more complicated.
What sort of thing would be in it?
In return for letting us ride, the Isle of Man government wants us to promote the island's many attractions on the way round.
How are you going to do that anyway?
Well, I don't know, because I'd have to learn it all. Could I take someone else with me? What if we put a sidecar on it?
A sidecar? Really?
That's settled then. The bike will have a sidecar, and I need a crusty historian. Oz Clark then. He has a razor-sharp relationship with relevance.
French cheeses, don't trust French cheese.
He's bound to know a thing or two about kippers. So while Sim locks himself in the shed to study a fascinating selection of tiny metal rods, I head over to the island to learn the circuit.
So that's like doing 140 miles per hour past W.H. Smith's. That's how absurd it is. Even though, obviously, he's wearing a full-face crash helmet and it's got a tinted visor, I could tell by the attitude of his head. What he was actually doing was going, "Ah!" and then putting it back down again.
This isn't teaching me much, apart from the perils of crossing the road during the TT. So I decide to track down an expert. This is multiple Manx Grand Prix winner and TT champion Richard Quayle. He's known as Milky because he looks a bit like the Milky Bar Kid. Although sometimes he looks more like a Crunchy. He's a local lad and knows the course better than anyone, especially that bit.
And all we want to be able to say is that we've completed the TT course. We're not after a speed record, obviously.
Right.
You know, we don't even know if we can do it in one day, but we want to go all the way round.
Right, OK. I mean, that's quite an unusual thing, really, isn't it? I mean, it's got to carry two people as also.
Yeah, it's got a sidecar. I'm going to put Oz in the sidecar, ideally. Oz Clark.
Oh, right.
This is the standard reaction to news of Oz's involvement.
Coming here as a newcomer, it does take you at least 3 years to get into a position where you're going to be in a position where you're going to finish on the podium.
Yeah.
Probably best to have a sight and lap sort of thing and see what you're going to encounter.
Right, this is what we'll be up against. From the grandstand at Douglas, we immediately encounter a terrifying descent down Bray Hill before braking hard for a sharp right-hander at the roundabout at Quarterbridge. As the bike climbs out of Douglas, inviting high-speed sections give way to sudden treacherous bends with unforgiving stone walls. Storming through the 3-mile marker at Union Mills, we head west towards Greber Bridge before the challenging twists and turns of Laurel Bank, where Milky went a bit flaky. At mile 10, the course heads north up the piston-bursting Craig Willis Hill before flashing through Kirkmichael Village and flying towards the 200 miles per hour Sulby Straight. Racing through Ramsey at the 23-mile marker, the bike must defeat the vertiginous climb up Snæfell Mountain, past the waterworks and the tyre-shredding hairpins of Gooseneck. Next, the deceptive bends of the mountain section await. Sheer drops and stray sheep menace the intrepid rider as he zooms past Veranda, the Bungalow and Duke's Bends. At 33 miles, the course descends rapidly towards the right-hander at the Craigney Bar pub, then races back into Douglas to reach the start-finish line, 37 3/4 miles of mental and mechanical torture. Having seen the scope of what our little bike must survive, I remain resolutely upbeat about our chances.
How do you make a brake out of Meccano? We're going to make a little drum? It's not going to work. There's a mountain on this thing. You've got to get up it. How do you make the wheel bearing? How do you make the steering head? It's all got to work really well, otherwise it'll just fall apart and we'll all be killed at 5 miles an hour, and that's embarrassing. Me and Simi are working on the basis of an idea we had last Friday in a pub. We don't even know if it works.
We haven't put a single nut and bolt together yet. You may never see this. This could be a complete waste of everybody's time when we get in the shed and say, right, Meccano motorcycle. No, actually, it's not possible. Thank you and good night.
But while I'm having a small paddy, Sim is beginning to solve some of these very problems, starting with the wheels. By assembling a sandwich of Meccano plates and surrounding them with ball bearings, he's managed to make a fully functioning Meccano wheel bearing.
The middle bit is going to be bolted to our frame. This will be bolted to the wheel, and the wheel will turn.
And like the visionary that he is, he's looked at Meccano's strips and seen spokes.
That's pretty good, isn't it? That is half a wheel. Half. Cut in half that way, obviously. That's as tight as Graham Norton's face.
One thing Meccano doesn't make is full-size tyres, so we're having to make a small concession by using some from a mountain bike. Now we can see if the complete wheel is fit for purpose.
Now, of course, we have to account for the weight of Oz Clark. I haven't actually asked him yet if he wants to do this, but I know he's not very busy this year. So we'll start off by representing a bit of Oz with this bag of potatoes. This can be his head. Now, we're using potatoes to represent Oz because they were the first thing that sprang to mind when I thought of him. And also, they are needed at the pub at the bottom of the road for today's roast. So if this wheel works, the potatoes will be delivered. If you're in the Checkers on the Sunday and you don't get any potatoes with your lunch, it's because it doesn't work. It's that simple. Ready?
Ready. Keep your eye on it.
I'll keep my hand. Now, the
sorry.
total weight on this wheel now, ignoring the wheelbarrow itself, is me, about 85 kilograms, plus 20 kilograms of spuds. So that's 105. If we've got Oz on board, he weighs a bit less than me. There's going to be about 160 kilograms of person. Speed hump. Oh, it's good at that.
This is just a collection of half-inch metal strips with over 400 tiny bolts holding them together. There's more air than wheel here, and yet, arranged like this, it'll carry me and Mr. Potato Head with no flexing whatsoever.
That is me and Oz Clark on one Meccano wheel, except that Oz isn't saying anything. I like this version of Oz.
This is 70 kilograms, a full metric Clark, plus me on one wheel. On the actual bike, we're going to have 3.
James! What?
I'm shocked.
You're kidding? Oh, it's only 9:45. That is magnificent, Sim. Everything about that is perfect. The tyre stays up, the spokes are strong enough, the bearing's good enough. So, what about the rest of the bike, then?
Let's go to it.
Wheels are a good start, but a motorcycle will have an engine to drive the one at the back, which means we'll need a Meccano chain.
You see the basic elements of it. The rollers down the middle, the plates either side, and then the rivets that hold it all together. We're going to replicate that in Meccano.
This is like transcribing the Bible with letraset. Each one of the 180 links we need is made from 10 separate Meccano pieces, and they all have to be minutely modified before assembly.
That only took about 4 hours, so we're doing well.
Like a real chain, it must be made to extremely tight tolerances if it's to run smoothly on the drive cog, or sprocket as it's properly known. Too tight and it will seize and destroy the engine. Too loose and it will jump off the sprocket and mangle the wheel. Soon the tiny bolts start driving us nuts.
The sharp end of the hardened spring steel pin tends to mangle the plate. If I give it a gentle squeeze with the needle nose as I tap it in, obviously I can no longer squeeze the pins, and there's a tendency for the plate to get chopped.
Once the chain is complete, we're left with just one big problem. The thing that makes this motorcycle not a mere bicycle. The engine. Now, the standard Meccano electric motor develops 0.0025 bhp, the equivalent pulling power of me in a nightclub. But Sim's come up with a revolutionary system of making dozens work in harmony to produce the power we need.
Right, you join us at a very exciting moment. These are our motor clusters. There are 16 in each cluster, 3 clusters on each side. They form the Meccano engine. We're about to test run it.
I'll give you 3 volts. That's 3 volts.
That is quite fantastic.
Simi's 6-cluster engine is as ingenious as it is complex. The clusters combine to turn the main shaft via multiple miniature Meccano chains. The front sprocket then sends raw power via our full-size Meccano bike chain to the back wheel. Yes, Meccano is just a toy, but look at this. It's art.
Give it a bit more beans.
All right.
No, but just in case all the chains snap. Whoever designed that little motor can't possibly have imagined it would be used in this way.
It's amazing, but behind schedule. By the time we ship our Meccano creation over to the Isle of Man, we're still not sure if it's actually going to work. With race day looming, Simi and his team set up shop in the local college to make frantic finishing touches. And there's still one vital, full-size but thankfully simple component missing. Our Minister for Tourism, Oz Clarke.
Right, Oz, here it is, the big reveal of the all-Meccano motorcycle that we will ride around the 37 3/4 mile TT course.
Our stirring music is playing. Our crap smoke machine is sputtering. It's time to reveal the machine that will win us our very own tourist trophy.
And here it comes now.
Good God. And it works.
We think so.
Unbelievable.
As I teach Oz the intricate and technical arse-first technique for getting in, it seems that for the first time our bike is truly complete.
How fast will it go?
Well, to be brutally honest, this isn't making it up for television. We haven't tried it yet. It's only been the length of the workshop.
It's got to go round the TT circuit.
Yeah.
You haven't tried it.
You weren't doing anything for the rest of the week, were you?
And so, with my sidecar sommelier impressed and our bike ready to go, we turn in for the night. Tomorrow, we race. Grand Prix Day. We should be down in the paddock, prepping for our 4:30 p.m. start. But, well, we're not.
Last night, during a bit of late-night testing by Simon and Simi, the motorcycle collapsed.
When testing our bike's stopping ability, the front brake gripped the flimsy Meccano wheels so hard that the whole thing folded in on itself.
That used to be part of the front fork, so that in fact is a bit I did. That's the front brake caliper mount. That's all mangled and gone. The front wheel was completely mangled and collapsed. All that's had to be done again. Thousands and thousands of nuts and bolts and components, the equivalent of what, 3 days' work?
Pretty much 3 days' work.
And it did all that damage.
But it's weak, look, it's just weak, it's rubbish. It's just rubbish.
Simi and Simon have been up all night trying to fix the damage, but as they race to rebuild and reinforce the wheels, we learn that the Isle of Man government is insisting that the bike must take a real MOT test to check that it's safe to go on the course. With just hours to go before the start, we haul our untested rework down to the MOT centre and try not to pace about nervously.
Anything? The tester's taken a few steps back. He's shaking his head slightly. It doesn't mean anything. I hate this. It's like sitting outside the X-ray place in the hospital.
After what seems like hours, I'm called inside.
Well, it's all good.
Is it?
Well, there's a few minor little tweaks here and there, but mechanically it's all right.
Fantastic. So what that means, viewers, is this is now not merely a decoration. This will always wear that, and it will always be roadworthy here. That's right, isn't it? It will always be roadworthy in the Isle of Man.
Isle of Man, that's right. Yeah.
We decide to leave quickly before they realise their mistake.
There you go, James. Certificate of approval for your Meccano motorbike.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Look at that. Oz and I are legal. That makes it sound like we've had one of those newfangled male marriages, doesn't it? I don't mean that. I mean we're allowed to ride this on the road.
Right, let's try that again, shall we? With just a couple of hours to go, we dash down to the grandstand where the gathering crowds are already rabid with anticipation.
I mean, he's not seriously going to ride the thing round, is he?
I think he's going to go over the left bridge and land and just disintegrate. I think the wheels will fall apart very quickly. He won't make the first hill.
Everywhere you look, there are signs of professional and meticulous preparation. Over at our own tent, I take Oz through the map.
We're starting off with the roads closed, but given that I'm fairly confident this is going to take us at least half a day, the roads will open again. So we do have to keep on the lookout for people.
By sunset, hopefully we're about here.
Well, ideally, yes.
I hope he's right, because we've been given a very tight window in which to make the attempt. Leaving straight after this practice session, we must finish before the Grand Prix gets underway 40 hours later on Friday morning. But as bikes are banned from racing at night, we've actually only got 18 hours of daylight to complete the whole circuit. Back in the paddock with an hour to go, Will, our cameraman, is trying to make our bike look like the height of cool in our slightly grubby white tent. When this suddenly happens...
Yep. Guys, we're going now. They've cancelled the practice because there was a not a bad one, but an accident further up. Okay, so we need to go now.
With practice postponed, the whole schedule has changed. The officials make it very clear that if we don't set off this second, we'll lose our slot.
2 minutes or you'll be going back in the paddock.
Okay.
As the crew grab Oz and scramble to set up cameras, I realise we haven't even had time to test the new brakes properly.
If we can't stop, for example, the sign for that for me is me cutting my throat with my index finger.
Crucial.
Any mental preparation I'd been hoping to do is forced out of the window as we're shoved out in front of an expectant, waiting crowd.
Get yourself up now. Okay. Watch the starter.
We're simply not ready. We have no idea what will happen when we switch this thing on.
Here we go.
It hasn't worked.
What do we think of that?
Look at that. Look at that. Oh, ye mockers, look at us now.
This is the single slowest GP start in the history of the island. But for my money, at least, it's up there with the most triumphant.
As John F. Kennedy said, those who dare to fail miserably can achieve greatly.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
All those weeks, 15,000 pieces of Meccano, all of it's come together in one glorious paean to speed.
Check the chains on. Are they all still on?
They're all going round, so they must all be still on.
As we finally leave the grandstand, the Works Meccano prepares to take its rightful place in the pantheon of racing legends.
This is tremendous. It worked.
We flash along like a silvery Meccano mackerel. But coming up fast is our first major challenge, Bray Hill, a half-mile descent followed by a steep climb that will test our brakes and then our engine to their limits.
Now, this is a hill, James. Has this thing done a hill before?
Not like this, it hasn't.
So this is the road test of the hill, is it?
I'm going to check the brakes. Oh,
is that the brake pads?
Yeah. The brakes are pretty feeble. Whoa.
These boots cost a few bob, but they're better brakes than the ones on the bike. It's not an auspicious start, and we've still got the much tougher uphill bit to come.
Thank you. Okay, now.
Not sure I can manage this. Oh, miss. Thank you.
Slightly uneven on this side, James.
I'm going to go towards the middle a bit, the equal camber. Speedometer's failed. Afternoon.
Simi's plucky Meccano motor is giving it everything it's got, but it's only just enough. It's already groaning under the pressure, and this is only the first hill.
I wonder if it's just worth checking to reassure ourselves. I'd hate to break it. Right, Oz.
Yeah.
That sort of hill is far too steep for Meccano power. So we're going to go on to Plan B, buggy power.
To explain Plan B, here's something we made earlier.
If this bit's made it onto your television, it must mean that we've got to a hill and we've come across a problem with the power of our Meccano motor array. We've come up with this. It is our second motor, which is the one from a golf buggy. Now, you're all going to cry, cheat, that's not Meccano, but this isn't without precedent, actually, because Meccano themselves have told us that when they make a big exhibition model, giant windmill or a giant crane or something, they often use something like the motor from a golf buggy or a washing machine or even an electric drill, because they don't make an electric motor big enough. They only make these puny little things. So this is going to drive the same rear sprocket with a Meccano chain to take us up the hills, and then back on the flat and the level, we shall revert to pure Meccano power.
With our exhibition-size unit backing up Simi's engine, we start flying along at almost 7 miles an hour.
Right, here we go, Oz. Here's our first big bend. It's Quarter Bridge. I'm adding power.
Thank you.
I think this is extremely relaxing.
As we eat up the miles, Oz starts regurgitating random facts.
We've just passed Braddon Bridge. There are two things about Braddon Bridge. One, it's very close to one of the breweries in the island, which I think is important. And secondly, Kirk Braddon is the open-air church where up to 30,000 people go and worship at Kirk Braddon. Saint Braddon is the patron saint of voyagers.
Is that right?
So we ought to just say, thank you, St. Braddon, for how far we've gone.
Thanks are duly offered, but only a few metres up the road it becomes clear that St. Braddon really hates Meccano.
I think the wheel is starting to go crooked.
Yeah, it is. We've broken. We've lost the beading off the back wheel, chaps.
What beading? The outside beading has come off.
Yep.
We've only been riding for an hour, but the circuit is already taking an ominous toll on our bike. We can't risk further damage, so we have to move to an adjacent car park for an emergency pit stop.
The problem at 2 miles in, the tyre is held in position by these 1x1 angle plates, and they're not strong enough. They bend outwards, so we have to double them up. Doubling them up means sawing 2x2 angle plates in half, because we haven't got any of the right ones left, peeling the tyre off, undoing all those nuts and bolts, adding the new pit, retightening them, moving on. We've had to make marks so we know where we've got to. It's fantastically, painfully fiddly, and we hate Meccano.
Strengthening the wheel is not only time-consuming, but is using a large chunk of our limited supply of spare Meccano. But ignoring the problem would be risking disaster.
Within 20 yards we'd stopped to make sure we don't do any damage, because as long as we don't do any damage, we'll...
You have a long way to go.
A quick repair and off we'll go again.
Yeah, it's only 35 miles left.
It's only 35 miles left, and we have to make it.
Yes.
This sort of thing took long enough in Simi's shed, but here, remaking the wheel on the fly ends up costing us 3 hours of precious race time.
Is Oz gone to the pub? Has he? Seriously? That's just insulting.
Finally, the bike is ready, and we take it back to where it broke down. Meanwhile, Oz, having thoroughly road-tested the local beers, moves on to another of the island's hidden treasures.
Not a local landmark, a global landmark, a landmark, this landmark, this local the Bee Gees' family connection with the Union Mills post office. Is this where Barry bought his premium bonds?
I arrive in time to save us from the worst tourist information film since Oliver Reed does Legoland. But the spirit of Barry returns at the next hill. The engine's gone, and I can't go on.
Oh, we haven't got enough juice for the hill.
Are you doing this on purpose?
No, no. This is a bit baffling, because according to my battery condition meter, we've still got half of our juice left, but it wouldn't quite go up that hill with us both on, and towards the end, not even with just me on. Which doesn't sound quite right, because This motor and this battery arrangement should power a golf buggy, as I said earlier, with 6 colonial golfists on.
We check everything, but the mystery problem remains. We're nearing the end of day 1, and we've only covered 3 miles, a 1/12 of the total course. As the bike limps and stutters onwards, we have no choice but to make plans to camp out.
Right, what's the time, Mr. Clark?
20 past 7.
Right, it's going to get dark fairly soon. We're not allowed to ride this at night, so we're going to have to stop somewhere. See, it doesn't like these hills.
Oh, I see. This is as fast as it can go, is it?
It's going to stop.
Do you want me off?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 sec. Okay.
Can you jog ahead and find a campsite for us? Or a suitable camping location?
You serious?
Yeah.
Stalk ahead?
Yeah, well, you're not going to have to run very fast.
So, much to the relief of the 4-mile queue of traffic behind us, we have no choice but to stop everything, cart the bike to a nearby field, and set up Base Camp Meccano.
We've done 3 miles out of over 37.
Well, we've tried.
Yeah, I know, but we haven't done it. We've got 34 miles to do tomorrow, and then the race starts. We've got until sunset tomorrow to get to the end, otherwise we have to come back next year.
This was not the glorious first day of racing I was hoping for. The local scouts hear about our plight and kindly offer to sort us out with a tent and some grub. But we barely notice as the tent goes up and the sun goes down. All our focus is on the bike. We've even called in Milky to take a look at it. The mystery problem is that our rear wheel sprocket is too big. It's like driving a car and being stuck in top gear. Machining a new sprocket out of Meccano is a precision engineering job, not something you can easily knock up in a field. There's no choice but for Simmy and Simon to take the bike back to the workshop for overnight emergency repairs.
Thank you.
All right, come on then, guys.
Cheers, chaps. Oh, I really would love a beer.
So would I.
Thank you. Lovely. Where's the bottle opener?
What?
Where's the bottle opener? You got a bottle opener? You haven't brought a bottle opener?
Well, haven't you got one on you? A Swiss knife?
Well, I do normally, to be honest, but... All right, we'll think of something. Let's get this going, and then, because I'm freezing... Ow! This kindling's damp.
Well, pretty much everything is damp here.
Here we go.
If you put the cardboard face upward like that.
That's gone out. Hang on a minute, let's think about this. What would one of those proper survivalist blokes do? Someone like Bear Grylls.
We return to the bike at 6 a.m, raring to go. Thanks to the overnight efforts of Mr. Simmy Oakley, we're off to a flying start.
Well, this is brilliant. With my new sprocket, the Manx Oakley takes off like a stabbed rat.
I've told Oz to continue his voyage of cultural exploration on foot and to bring me back some local delicacies for lunch. I'm sorry he's missing all the fun, but today is all about less weight, more speed. There's a lot of catching up to do and the rush hour traffic to contend with.
Oh, thank you. Think bike. Think Meccano biker.
The vacant sidecar is like an empty bar stool in a Spitfire Squadron's mess, but the bike is going better.
Come on, speed up, tracking car. We're putting in a hot lap here. Look at it go up this hill. 5 miles. 5 miles, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we'll be back in Douglas for lunch.
By 8 AM, we've already covered as much ground as we did yesterday.
Coming up to 7 miles. Look at this thing go. It's Meccano, let's not forget that.
Blazing through the beautiful Isle of Man scenery, dotted with examples of ancient torture equipment, I'm starting to enjoy the high-octane, thrill-seeking lifestyle of the racing motorcyclist.
Down a gear, bing! Climb over the bike, push it in, and then back on the power. There, I've wrestled it through the bend. Oh, man, I'll cover.
Meanwhile, many miles across the island.
Okay, this is such a delight for me, I can't tell you. I think James has got this all wrong. We should be doing a steam train tour all the way around the Isle of Man. In fact, we could have done in the old days. This is the only steam train line left. You used to be able to go right the way around. Frankly, following the TT track most of the time, James could have done what he likes with his bicycle. I'll be on the steam train.
Meanwhile, back on the bike, there's no room for complacency, as I'm approaching the very spot where even TT champions can get it very wrong.
Right, we're just coming into Laurel. This is where Milky binned it. I think he struck his shoulder on that wall and then flew into that. So, bit of care. Are you watching, Richard Milky Quail? That's how you do it.
But as soon as we start the long ascent up Craig Willie's hill...
Oh, this is steep. Oh, come on, mate. Feather the power. Oh, I'm not sure it's going to do it.
Having been fine all morning, the bike suddenly slows to a crawl until finally it stops. Entirely.
I'm moving again now. I do need to talk to Sim about this a bit, I think. I'm having to let the battery recover a bit. It's getting a bit low, but this is moving under its own power. I'm not pushing it. I'm merely steering it and operating my thumb throttle.
Having made such a good start to the day, we're convinced that we're only dealing with a flat battery.
All motorcycles benefit from regular servicing at prescribed service intervals. This is no different. It's just the service intervals on this bike are sort of 20 minutes or 2 miles. It'll be fine.
But as my pit crew examine the bike, Simon finds a tiny telltale piece of broken Meccano. It's not the batteries letting us down, but that Meccano wheel bearing, and it's almost completely shot.
If you have any knowledge of wheel design at all, you should know that it's not supposed to move that way. It's only supposed to go round and round. The problem is that we've already worn that homemade bearing out at about, what have we done, 11 miles. And that is a tricky job because you can't just drop the wheel out like you can on a normal bicycle or motorcycle. It's all part of the Meccano-ness of the thing. What can we do? I thought they would be fine.
I did as well.
I think we have to mend it, because if we keep going until it completely mangles, it'll destroy the wheel as well. And we definitely can't build another one of those.
It's a few hours work though.
It is. There will now be a short intermission.
A few miles back down the road, we find a man called Tom, who runs the only motorbike and clock repair shop on the island. Well, most likely the world.
17 and a half. 17 and a half. I've marked it anyway.
It's a frustrating process. We've completely run out of spares and we're forced to make our own replacement Meccano from scratch.
We can always make it smaller, but we can't make it bigger again. That's the rule.
It seems absolutely barking mad to be taking pieces of sturdy, dependable metal and deliberately turning them into a flimsy toy.
Okay, so 17.5 and 30.
But it's all in the true spirit of Meccano. It's also unbelievably time-consuming.
thing is, this is complicated stuff. This is like building the back wheel of a motorcycle from scratch, not even from Meccano. There are no pre-drilled holes, no preordained sizes or spaces or anything. All we've got is pieces of metal. That's it.
An hour of precious daylight passes, then another, and another. Even if we somehow get the bike repaired straight away, we've now got no real hope of reaching the finishing line by sundown. As we desperately tinker away, surrounded by clocks that only rub in how long this is taking, I'm at my lowest ebb. Oz, on the other hand...
Aren't you?
Real stuff.
Real stuff.
You can taste the wind off the sea and you can got a lovely savoury, acidy freshness to it. Absolutely smashing. How many more bottles you got left? Unmanned drinks so far that I've been having have got a really good old-fashioned bite to them. I hope this continues. Thank you. Good fun.
This is getting a bit desperate. What we imagined would be a 2-hour repair break to sort out the collapsed rear wheel bearing is now 6.5 hours long. We've had to make bespoke hubs for the wheels, a bespoke axle, new off-the-shelf bearings to fit in holes, spacers. We're running out of daylight. We've got to finish by 9 o'clock tomorrow because that's when the Manx GP2 starts. This is why I've fitted some lights, because I'm hoping I'm going to be allowed to ride it through the dark, despite what the regulations say. Carry on. Right, 70.
News of our predicament filters back to our worried supporters at the grandstand.
Having ridden around it many times, it takes a lot to keep them going, doesn't it?
I don't think the chances are with him. I think they're a bit slim.
Finally, by the early evening, we're back on the road.
So viewers, if you've just joined us, we've had a 7-hour session repairing the bearing on the back wheel, and now we're underway again and approaching the 12th milepost.
We haven't yet heard from the authorities about riding at night, but we have to set off regardless and hope they give us the thumbs up before it's too late.
So we did 11.5 miles on the original all Meccano bearing, and I think that's pretty good. I bet when Frank Hornby invented Meccano, he didn't think it would be used for anything more than a very simple push-along truck or a crude representation of Tower Bridge. Not this sort of thing.
We might be way behind schedule, but the fixes to the bike are holding. And even though they must have been waiting outside for hours...
How do I look?
The whole population of the island seems to have come out to cheer us on.
Hiya. Right. Have you seen Oz Clark? Seen Oz Clark?
We're the only people on the Isle of Man that smoke traditionally.
Oh, oh, those look delicious. And all of that colour is natural, is it?
Yeah, everything's natural, so that's your kippers for your breakfast.
If I smell one of those.
Thank you. Thank you. How did you know I was coming? We're 7 hours late. Thank you. Oh, it's like being the Queen.
Can I smell that? Oh, yes, I want that. I'll have that, please.
Like a holy Lazarus, our dead bike is truly resurrected.
18 miles. Let's call that halfway. 19 miles on Meccano. Come on, that's pretty good. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I can't stop. Another pipe.
The Manx Oakley Mark I prototype. Its innovative, full-of-holes chassis gives zero wind resistance. It's recyclable if you want to build a giant crane instead. And it can outstrip the top speed of a 10-year-old boy. Marvellous.
I can't stop. More speed. I imagine in this rather lovely evening light that I was hoping not to see from the bike, the Manx Oakley gleams in a jewel-like way. Its silver has become gold. Its front wheel bearing has become crap.
And finally, after 14 famished, Ozless hours, up the road I see the evening light reflecting off a familiar head.
Where the hell have you been?
Where the hell have you been?
What? Where do you think? Have we gone around the TT course? That was the idea.
I've got your breakfast. I mean, aren't you hungry yet?
I'm starving. It's
Well,
8
frankly,
o'clock.
why didn't you get a bit of a move on then?
Well, we had to spend 5 or 6, no, 6.5 hours repairing the back wheel.
Oz's picnic looks rather unwieldy, but never mind, he's back on the bike.
You haven't actually got anything there that we can eat on the move, have you?
I've got kippers.
How are you supposed to cook them?
Well, they're cooked already. They're cured.
What, cold kippers?
Well, they're not cold now. I mean, shove them between my legs for 10 minutes to be reasonably warm.
Unfortunately, over the course of 14 hours, I've completely forgotten how much weight Oz adds to the bike.
Sorry, Oz.
What's that?
You'll have to get off.
You're not serious?
Yeah, I am.
I've only just got on.
I know. You can get back on again up there when it goes downhill.
For goodness sake, James.
Leave the bread, please.
I will not.
Don't put your weight on the footboard.
Your bread? What, do you need any help? Push?
No, it's
Push,
okay.
maybe?
It's okay without you.
Run along.
Can I have a piece of bread?
Polite conversation with you as I go.
Have a piece of bread.
Bread.
Thanks.
All right.
Actually, you can get back on.
Kipper.
No, you can get back on.
Oh dear.
Go!
Why can't I get on?
Come on!
I can't get on. You're going too fast.
I can't afford to slow down.
There's
Come
another hill
on!
coming up.
Ozzy's bread is good.
Anyone currently writing furiously to the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Oz, trust me, he's a resourceful chap. He can handle himself just fine. I might have missed out on dinner, but at last, like manna from heaven, there comes a crumb of comfort from the authorities. We can ride at night, but only under police escort. This is it then, one last-ditch attempt to push through the darkness and cross the line before 9:30 tomorrow. But in our way is over 9 miles of mountains, steeper than anything I've encountered so far.
This is Ramsey. This is the last bit of civilization really before you head back round the top and down into Douglas itself. The only small obstacle in the way is a mountain.
The beginning of the ascent is just ahead. May Hill, one of the steepest gradients on the course. Every ounce of battery power I have left is going into this push.
Bit faster, tracking car. Bit faster.
I can feel the ground underneath me getting steeper.
Keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep going.
I don't believe it. The one time we need the bike to behave and it's actually not falling apart.
Faster, 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 faster. Is that the supposed steep bit?
Okay, all our sound equipment may have just fallen off the back of the bike, but it's doing it. And amazingly, it just keeps going.
This is incredible. Look at this. We're rocketing up the side of the mountain, heading towards the left-hand hairpin. Can't remember what it's called. Cronkley Valley Broggy Fairy Bridge or something.
We genuinely don't know why the bike suddenly sprung to life. Even with a full battery recharge, it shouldn't be doing this well.
We're through.
Even the crew can't believe it.
got out and have a cigarette. I didn't even like it. You walked past. I thought it was a joke. I have no idea what's going on. It's just racing up the hill. It's ridiculous.
I am doing with my fresh batteries 15 miles an hour uphill. They are draining pretty quickly. Nevertheless, it works. Look at this. We're still going.
The bike powers on for almost 4 miles up the mountain, not just matching, but exceeding the best speeds we've had on the course so far. Until, finally,
I'm running out of juice. I'm down in the red.
we've used an entire battery charge getting up that slope, but the bike seems to be in fine fettle. So while Simi changes the batteries, I ring Oz and tell him he might as well wait for me on the outskirts of Douglas tomorrow morning. Now it's just me, the mountain, and Meccano.
I do feel a bit bad about not bringing Oz on this bit, but the fact is, it won't carry both of us up this hill. What am I supposed to do? It's harsh, but fair. The bike has to make it. The individual is unimportant. Only the toy matters. Thanks for staying up. They're not just there waiting for us, are they? Oh. Something to do with dogs, apparently.
So, with about 5 miles of steep mountains still to go before another 7 downhill, it's a long, slow, lonely ride into the night. I've had about 12 hours sleep in 4 days and won't be getting any tonight. This has become a pure endurance challenge, and I'm a long way off my best.
It's spooky. Or maybe spocky. Shut up, James. All right.
And it's not just me who's getting a bit frayed.
No, you mustn't do that.
Scared of the dark, our young driver Stuart slammed on the brakes and almost damaged our Range Rover. But now, apart from the ghostly light from the police rider behind me, the road is almost pitch black. It's all gone a bit peculiar, like I'm in Lost Highway, or that bit at the end of Terminator 2. I've no choice but to try and keep it together, pray there's no breakdown or collision, and ride on into the night. I am absolutely knackered. I've got Meccano bolts stuck in places where I'll be finding them for the next 3 years. I've had half a loaf of bread to keep me going for about 24 hours. I never want to see another sprocket as long as I live, but the bike has made it over the mountain. And it's downhill all the way to the finish.
Ahead lies Douglas and a hot kipper. I don't like to speak too soon, but it is pretty much all downhill now, and I really don't see what can go wrong. I think we're gonna make it. Pretty soon, Meccano will add its own little paragraph to the great canon of Isle of Man motorcycling lore. I think it is a historic lap. I'm very proud of it. it's a great honour as well to be allowed to do this and to play my part in cementing the reputation of this great little island. A reputation very dearly bought, actually. Maybe we should keep quiet for a minute or so here and remember that not everybody who set off on this greatest of laps made it all the way to the end. Some of them are on the island forever. Right, as I've neglected him a bit, I think I should see if I could find Oz Clark off the television and share the last little bit with him. Oz Clark! Oh, you're not still carrying those kippers around? Quickly.
Wonderful sight.
Quick, don't hang about, because they're going to close the road, so...
Right.
Get rid of the kippers.
This is your breakfast. I'm not letting you go without breakfast.
I'm having breakfast in a hotel.
There's a mile left, but only a few minutes to go before they kick us off the course to make way for the Grand Prix. This is tighter than Graham Norton's trousers. At the finish line, the crowds are gathering and the riders are making their final pre-race checks. We, on the other hand, are almost on the home straight.
Nearly there. It's so close.
After 2 months of planning and construction, 1 crash, 5 breakdowns, 18 batteries, 97 motors and well over 15,000 nuts, struts and bolts, we have roused Meccano from its torpid slumber and made it rise like a perforated metal phoenix from the ashes of forgotten mechanical ambition, to shine once more like a silvery lighthouse, guiding to shore all those who felt lost in the sea of engineering indifference. And the... Oh, hang on.
And... Whoa! And up. It sounded a bit rattly, Oz.
I'm looking at the back wheel.
That does sound a bit... What is it?
I don't know.
I've had it up to here with mysterious rattles. Let's just go for it or disintegrate in the attempt.
Oh, come on, just... You've got to do... I can see it. Come on, bike. Come on, the Manx Oakley.
What's there?
There's the tower thing. There's the grandstand. Ho-ho! Are there crowds?
Yes, the crowd.
There it is, Oz. There's the scout scoreboard. There's the bridge. Sit upright, look dignified.
I hope the brakes work.
We're going to do it. Right the bump. He's the man with the flag. 37 3/4 miles. Yes! How about that? We've brought Meccano to the mountain, everybody. Thank you. Tremendous.
Well done, old chap.
Seriously, fantastic. Thank you. Glory.
I think I will never again touch a piece of Meccano. Why would I? Where could we go from here? A Meccano spaceship? It's not airtight.
The engineers, everyone.
Yes, it's a 100-year-old toy that seems irrelevant in the modern world. Maybe it is. But what other toy could have done this?